What can I say except you're welcome?
Now the whole world can acknowledge me.
What's going on, guys? It's another episode of Talk It Up. I'm here. We're going to get down to some couple of topics. I'm here with my co-host, Final Boss Baby. How's you doing, Final Boss? Today we're going to get over some topics about the releases, WWE releases, our Truth release, Carlos release, VALHALLA, known formerly as Sir Logan, and people still have questions about Miz because he did clear his page of WWE all information. So we have speculation that thinking that he may be the next one to leave too. So it's just that people are assuming that he could be the next one leaving soon here in WWE. Welcome everyone. Like I said, we're at episode 6, so thanks for everyone for coming to the show. Let's get right into it. I think I have Final Boss. I don't see her camera. Are you there, Final Boss? Can you hear me, Final Boss? Okay, I think we lost Final Boss, so we'll get it back. I don't know what's going on her end. Yeah, we basically going to get into a lot of stuff. Like I said, we'll try to get Final Boss back up here on the stage. I don't know what's going on. I guess her camera went out on her thing. Um, so, but like I said, we're gonna get into some stuff. First, let's start off with the our Truth release. I feel like when we'll get into the WWE releases first. So with all the WWE releases that we did get from this past weekend, starting off with the R Truth, I think that's the one that was the one that hit the airways that really got everyone kind of up apart. We I seen a lot of information coming out that there was speculations that some of the talent was told to not wear some R Truth gear. You did see a lot of people wear Carlos gear when we seen on the show. So it was very strange that that report came out, and if that's true, that's just darn telling of how WWE thinks of their talent, especially when you're let go. And someone that's been there for so long, that feels like I feel like putting in a lot of great work for WWE to tell talent that don't even wear his you know merch is crazy. I never heard of something like that quite before. It's very strange that they said that and did it. It was quite telling if you ask me. So I was very shocked about it. I know there was a lot of reports came out about him getting a deal, um, basically saying that he should have took a lower deal than what he was receiving. The pay that he was receiving, TKO felt like it was quite too high of the money that they feel like they was paying him, and they just said that hey, we will pay you lower if you take it, and we'll keep you. And R-Truth said no. Then you had another report saying that Tony Khan and Nick Khan in the beginning of this year said that he basically was like already had his mind set that he was going to release R-Truth from the get-go of the early of this year, which is really crazy if that's the case of what happened with everything that went on. So I feel like if these rumors are true when it comes to R-Truth, Um, it's very sad that it came down to this. It should not been like this. Yeah, I'm reading a report now saying that R-Truth was released from the WWE and plans was from Nick Khan early year. So that's what I was just saying. So that's why I knew we read that John Cena wanted him to be part of his farewell tour to see would that save Truth from the releases. But the bill, I guess the bill was not so good enough. That's why we got kind of the bill we got with R-Truth and John Cena, that it wasn't even going to save his job. I know a lot of people said Legends deal, but I think the money that they probably was offered him probably was around that Legends deal type of money, and he probably didn't want it. I don't know if he will go to TNA. I did say to someone that if he go to TNA and does sort of like a retirement type of like something like sort of what Steen did in AEW, I feel like that could really work for him. TNA should be his last stop for career. I know everyone loves to say people going to AEW, but I feel like if R-Truth is going to end his career, let him end it in TNA where he first started. He was a tag team champion with Pat Man Jones in TNA. Pat Man Jones did make his um, comments saying that it was no fair how the way R-Truth was treated and let go. And he felt like it was just, sad. And I know he feels that way because he probably knows Truth very well and is a close friend of his. So it's very daunting that we got this news from him. I understand why they did it. I think me and you, we talked about it this whole full week. Like I said, getting reports. A lot of people was blaming Triple H. First we got Nick Khan, then we got TKO. Final Boss. If you had any thoughts about this R-Truth and who you feel like takes the blame, if it's someone to blame here, for R-Truth's release, all these releases we did get throughout this from this past week. Okay, Matt, can't hear you, Final Boss.
Are we talking about just about R-Truth or
no? Just we'll start off. We'll start off. I think R-Truth is the one that everyone was very upset about. I'll say upset. So let's start with R-Truth. I know you say you want to run down his history and stuff like that and give people the backstory of R-Truth. Just let's start with R-Truth because I think that was the one that I felt like a lot of people was upset about. That's what I would say. I would not say mad, but upset about. Let's start with him.
I mean, yeah, R-Truth, he's really been mid-card his entire career. He's been there a long time. R-Truth has been in WWE since '96. Of course, we'd had him at promotions, including TNA in the past, and he found his way back. I most remember R-Truth for, the Awesome Truth, the tag team he had with The Miz at one time. They were a very successful mid-card tag team. R-Truth himself, the last few years, he's had this whole stick where, Cena was a childhood hero. He's actually older than Cena by just a couple of years on Cena. I said it weeks ago. I knew in my heart, and I don't have a source, that it was going to be the end of R-Truth because it was the end of the character. Him finally get a chance to face Cena. But what we didn't know was that this was something that was planned back in, I think they said January was the report that came out, that they were talking about not renewing his contract. And if they were going to renew it, it was going to be for a way lesser amount than what he's been paid this contract. And then the report came out that R-Truth decided that he was not going to take that lower pay cut. And that his good friend John Cena, which he is friends with in real life, they've, are part of the last three longest people in WWE, decided like, hey, I want Truth to be part of my uh, final farewell tour, and that it with the idea that with the promotion and just the general feedback from the fans about them finally getting this match would be so overwhelming that yes, TKO would renew his contract and two offer him a pretty good deal, and it flopped. It absolutely flopped. More so because the build to it was so short and it wasn't great. I mean, we literally got attitude adjustment, on the table at the press conference, and then like two promos, and then we had the match that Saturday Night main event, which had a decent card, but the bill for it wasn't enough. Um, there's one side of me that says, hey, the bill wasn't going to be long enough because Cena's on very limited time now. We are now in June or in early parts of June. He's going in December. December 13th is his last match, and he's not here a lot. So I was like, hey, you don't want to have too much time spending on this feud when he has all these things to squeeze in the next few months. But then the other part of me is like, well, maybe they rushed it through because TKO wanted it to fail. So that way they can just say, hey, we were right. This is not worth us renewing at this high amount. I mean, at this point, I feel bad for R-Truth. He's done a lot over these numerous years. But where was he going to go after this story? We're talking about storyline, not about, him as a wrestler. Because he's facing his childhood hero. Now, with enough time, and if Cena was there, for a bit longer, you can kind of drag it out. Like, hey, well, yeah, Cena beat you, but he can kind of go on this rant where he's setting up Cena, he's interfering in his matches, and he's having like an emotional breakdown. Like, we could have done so much, but the problem is it's the timing. If they would have did this back in January, right when Cena came for his last run, we would have had time to do more. We would have squeezed it in. If John Cena hadn't missed all those weeks in between and we actually used time, we could have done a lot more. The reception would have been a lot bigger, a lot higher. And of course, we could have also added stigma into it. They could have added like, hey, whoever loses, if R-Truth loses, then Cena's going to retire him. They could have did that. If they would have put that little line in there, is that, hey, Cena's going to retire R-Truth, I think the reception would have been a lot bigger. We had no idea really on paper it was going to be Truth's last match. So, I mean, it sucks to hear. I did read today that R-Truth was open to going back to TNA. So he's not done yet. I mean, yeah, he's on the older side. He's in his late 40s, but I mean, he looks great. He's still very ring active, so there's no ring rust there. So he can definitely do it as long as his body allows him to, as long as he wants to do it. But I just think that, hey, it's kind of a good way for him to go out of WWE because he's facing his last real story, but the story could have been built a lot better and had the whole idea, hey, this is going to be his last match. I'm going to retire, R-Truth. I'm going to ruin wrestling. That's what they could have went with. We shouldn't have to have had this match on a, I say premium TV show because it was that Saturday night main event. And then we're hearing a couple weeks later that he's been released on Twitter, on social media. I think that's in poor taste. And then we can talk about Carlito next because it's, the similar status about how we were notified of that. But do you have any other takes on the R-Truth release?
Yeah, actually, R-Truth, I was re-signed back in 2008. I guess that's when he was signed because he was former release. It was January the 29th, 2008. Final Boss, he did 6,335 days. That's how many days he worked it. Let's start there. I don't think no one put out that fact. I think I might could be wrong. I didn't watch everyone's podcast, but from what I know, I did look it up. I did do some research because I did want to. I think R-Truth was the one that was going to hit the hardest because I feel like the response for R-Truth, it was sort of to me for me, Final Boss, it was like someone passed away. If you thought about it, it was like someone passed. It reminded me of when Bray passed. He didn't get to see how many people
Like to me, that's a real hard take. I would not compare that at all.
Well, it was to me how the way people took it. I'm not gonna lie. I might could be the first to say it. If you want to unfollow me, you want to block me, cool. I felt like people took it that hard. I mean, they was crashing out.
I think,
Let's be real.
And the thing is that I don't. With R-Truth, it's so different. People are not gonna feel that way because he's just this amazing wrestler. I think it's the nostalgia. We're so used to having him around, and to see, hey, we're not gonna have him backstage doing skits anymore. It's just the pure shock value. That's what it is. Is that we never thought that we would see him go out in this way. We knew the day would come, but we thought it would be more evident of when it will be his last match or his last run, and it really wasn't. Of course, we had the R-Truth, well, I'm calling it the R-Truth movement, where fans are saying they want truth. They said it on Raw. Fans were trying to have signs. They banned those. They banned the wrestlers from having R-Truth T-shirts because they just want it to go away. They want it to go away. They don't want to have, the uproar, and then they're kind of pushed into a corner where they have to re-sign them, which they have done before with NXT due to responses to actually two superstars. One of them was because of fan backlash. The other one was because their video of them being very upset, notably being very upset, went viral, and they decided to go ahead and keep them. So, they're trying to pull the old avoidance, just pretend like it doesn't happen. And if it does happen, let's try our best to make it not be as big. Is it going to work? Maybe, because you're not going to have the signs and the T-shirts. Is it going to stop the chance? No. But what they're going to do? Probably edit them out of TV.
Well, I mean, you still heard it. There's video. That's the one thing I could say. A great thing about the IWC, formerly X. You've seen a lot of videos of people saying it in the arena or stadium or wherever they was at, saying it. You heard it over the mic when Punk came in to do his promo. You clearly heard it. We heard them say he want truth over the Raw. So I don't think there was no way. Now if this was Vince, yeah, Vince would have blocked it out immediately. So somebody would have been fired quick, fast, in a hurry. So my thing is this, like I say, with R-Truth, and we're going to get down to when we get to Nick Kong about the stocks that he sold, and the reason why me and you felt like these releases was being done, and the reason why Roman Reigns' contract is being renegotiated. I got some news about that too later on, so we'll get to that too. But let's get to Carlito, because I did get some news about Roman Reigns before we went live. But let's go to Carlito, which is this came off of Carlito. I don't know, Final Boss, did you see the clip? The day before Carlito won his championship in Puerto Rico. I think it's a WC some type of belt. I think it's a WC Puerto Rico belt. He won the title, and right after he won the title, they released him. And you were saying it was strange how the way they didn't write him off. They didn't say nothing about it. It's just like it never happened. He was never in the Judgment Day, and you was like that was weird. But they did. You did have a lot of the Judgment Day guys wearing his merch. You had Liv Morgan. I don't know if you've seen in her match on her booth. She had Carlito. I think Finn had on a shirt. I think Dom had on a shirt. Most of the group had on a shirt. Even I think even Roxanne had on something dealing with Carlito, and I did like that they did do that for him. I felt like Carlito already, and I know someone's one of our CCN podcasters said it on Sports for You. Um, they said that Carlito already had his moment where he came in at Puerto Rico, and he got one of the biggest pops in Puerto Rico, so he already had his moment. I think the people why people and to go back a little bit on Truth is I think people felt like Truth didn't have his moment yet, so that's the thing about with him. So, what's your thoughts about when it comes to Carlito?
Yeah, I did hear that he did win a championship. I'm not gonna say for what promotion because we don't. If we don't know the promotion, we're not gonna say it. Um, but I did hear it was a Puerto Rican style promotion is what I did hear. And then like yes, a couple days later, it was said that he was released that he had 2 weeks left on his contract. I believe is what came out, um, and that's what he said. He had 2 weeks left. Um, and to me, did I see it coming? Am I surprised? No. I was so excited when Carlito came back because he looked the same. You can tell from a mile away that was Carlito. He had the same hair. Of course, he looked older, but then you saw him walk out, and he was, he limps a lot, probably from age and injury. I don't know exactly which injury he had, but he definitely has a noticeable limp. He's not really in matches. He is present a lot in the Judgment Day. He does a lot of backstage segments, but he's not really in matches. And they didn't really bring back, well, they didn't bring back the cool gimmick at all. Which is what I looked forward to having. Yeah, he said the line, but they never brought it back with him and the Apple, the old school. They never brought any of that back. Maybe they didn't have a chance to. I don't know. But I think the reason why they didn't bring it back is because he couldn't hold it. He didn't have that many matches, so they kind of put him in a group to see, what they can do with him. It'll also give him time to be on TV, but not have matches and have it make sense. Um, but I don't think they saw the value of having him there, and he's not being in matches, and he doesn't reach that caliber as other stars do. Yeah, Carlito's everybody knows who's Carlito is. One of my favorite feuds was the one he had with Cena, where the whole storyline was he stabbed Cena like in the kidney at like a club, and they had this big breakdown. And on SmackDown, I remember that. It was one of my favorite things ever, because it really blurred the line. We didn't know if it was real or fake. Um, and so I really thought possibly they could have had, a thing with Carlito and Cena on Cena's way out, and they didn't. Why? Because he's tied up so much in JD. But again, it was there more to protect Carlito, gave him time to do something without having to be in the matches. Again, I wish they would have also did it a better way as far as phasing out his departure. Now we don't have, well, we all know that he's, he had 2 weeks left on the contract. They put him off TV, told him, hey, sit back home the last 2 weeks, and then it's never come back, is really how it looked like it went. But they should do something story-wise. They've been teasing these dissensions and breakups for JD for feels like years now. But they never did it, and then they lost a member, and we don't know why. So if someone doesn't keep up with news or socials, they're gonna be looking at TV, which most of us do. But let's say hypothetically they don't. They'll watch Raw and wonder where the hell Khalil is. Did I miss something in that story? Did you guys really have the dissension all this time? Like, oh wow, I missed one episode and he's not there now. We had no explanation. He's just gone, and now we know credits to Carlito, because Carlito was the one who came out and told us he's being released after 2 weeks. He's going to sit home and that's it. But if he hadn't done that, then what were we going to do? We're just going to pull him off TV and then give us the future never statement in 2 weeks? And I mean, that's what they would have done. I mean, who did the report come from? It came from Carlito himself. That's literally what he said. I have 2 weeks and I'm being released. Not WWE didn't say that at first. It was Carlito who said it. So, I mean, this is another legend. These in my eyes, these are Hall of Famers. These are future Hall of Famers. Carlito he's done great things during his high times. So did R-Truth. R-Truth, of course, had a longer stance with the company, but Carlito, he's known. He was big, and this is how we're letting them be retired, at least not retired fully, but retired at least from WWE. We're treating them in this regard. And you think about people like Rey Mysterio. How are they booking him, knowing that this is going to be his last few runs? I ain't going to say run, because he's been on his last run for a year now. So his last few runs. How are they doing with AJ Styles? Same thing. They've been down on him. Contract negotiations are iffy right now. He was gone for a while. He came back. He had like a really good comeback most recently against him and Breaker, and then he started falling back down again. And then he had this weird line on Monday where he said like, hey, you were trying to push me out. So, I mean, when I hear that, I'm like, is that foreshadowing, or, what does that mean? We know his contract is also up in a few months as well. And we're not sure if he's going to actually go anywhere else, because he's expressed for years now that he wanted to retire and spend some time, with his children. Now, of course, he's in great shape. He can go anywhere he wants to go, and he's known. He's been around. He's been in the independent scene. He's one of my favorite TNA originals. And he spent, of course, more time in the independent scene. It took him a long time to come over to WWE. Also, he's in his late 40s. So we don't know if he just wants to go ahead and retire after this, or if he's actually going to go somewhere else because he wants to. And again, let's just say, hypothetically, let's say AJ Styles says, hey, maybe this is a sign, I'm done wrestling. I've been saying it for years now. I'm just going to go ahead and ride it out and then just be done. This is how they're repaying him, is doing this. Yeah, he hasn't had a lot of tenure with WWE. We're talking about a guy who's been wrestling for decades and decades and is known around the world. We're talking about a guy who was at one point, he was a champion on SmackDown. I've met him. And this is how he's getting repaid. I mean, you already let go of his friends, the Good Brothers, which we'll talk about later. That's part of, statements that they recently said. And he still stayed. He fought for him back. You guys brought him back. Now they're gone. He's still here. And then you drag him through the mud. Like, hey, we'll talk about the business aspect. And once we're done, talking about all the release information, we'll talk about more about how we stand when it comes to business running and TKO. We'll get to that. But it's also about, there's better ways of phasing people out. Like, things go on backstage as far as contract negotiations and things like that, but on screen, as respect for one, for your fans, and two, for the reputation of those superstars, have them go out a better way. You shouldn't be dragging them through or just taking them off TV. And these are your future Hall of Famers. I mean, come on. There are a lot of people that should be in the Hall of Fame that are not in the Hall of Fame, for various reasons. It's either they're WWE doesn't like them no more and they don't want them, or it's other things involved. But the last few Hall of Fames, they've been kind of dry because they didn't have a lot of inductees. I mean, hell, Triple H inducted himself last year. I mean, which he deserves it because he is retired and he definitely deserves it. He's definitely, was a top guy. But I mean, when you start doing this, what's going to happen years from now? You're looking for Hall of Famers, and they like, hey, do you want to be in Hall of Fame? And they go, no. I remember how I left. I dedicated
Ultimate
myself.
Warrior is a great example.
Yeah, I dedicated myself to this company, and then look at me now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so and we're talking not about one person at this point. We are naming at least 3 people right now, and we don't know who else is coming next. 3 people. You think Hall of Fame would be pretty damn good if they inducted R-Truth, Carlito in there, AJ Styles in there. If they inducted at least just those 3 alone, that's all they had. That would be a pretty decent Hall of Fame. But people are going to remember them for this. They're not going to bring... I guarantee you, R-Truth and Carlito and AJ Styles is not going to bring up this time period in this runs for each of them in the Hall of Fame speech. It's an embarrassment. Well, Carlito's going to come there and say, hey, I remember I came back. I was a Judgment Day. I was backstage for a while. Shouts out to Dominic Mysterio. Shouts out to Finn Balor. Shouts out to JD McDonough. I wasn't used much, but I was honored at the opportunity to come back. And then, I won a championship outside the country, and I was told I got 2 weeks and stay home. Yep. And if you don't like it, you can suck my dick. Is that what the Hall of Fame speech gonna be like for him?
We're so sorry. She forgot what was on YouTube.
Hey, Paul Heyman can say it live.
Please don't monitor.
But I mean, this types of runs is ones you have to erase from history. If they had WWE Vault, which they don't anymore, sadly. WWE Vault. I mean, I missed that thing. TK, if you're listening, I'm sorry, but please just bring back the Vault. But
we gonna get to some, man. I'm telling you, after today, I'm probably gonna get a lot of unfollows. But I got an opinion when it comes to
that's what it is. We'll have our content. We're not here. But this is the reality. I mean, these could have been your future Hall of Fame inductees, and this is the treatment that they get. And remember, Hall of Fame is a mutual agreement on both sides. It's not just about WWE, hey, we want you to come. We're not obligated anymore. They're not contractually obligated. They're coming because they want to. So you don't want to leave bad tastes in their mouth. Now, what they're going to do, knowing WWE, is that they're going to induct them years down the line with the hopes that they forget about everything that recently happened. And then they're induct them like in the year like 2035, and then and hopefully they'll forget about everything that happened. I guarantee you won't see them inducted like this coming year. You won't, or even a year after that, because it's too fresh about the things that happen. But do you have any? Oh, and the last thing I want to mention is, I saw Liv Morgan. She did have the Carlito name across her red boots.
Okay, I didn't know if you said it.
Yep, I did see that. So that just shows, the impact that he had on superstars around him, on these younger talent.
Yeah, and like I say, it's sad if that's true that they told talent to not wear R-Truth stuff. That if that's true, man, that's not good. The promotion was WWC. He won the Puerto Rico championship, so that was the correct championship, but it was WWC. He won the title. Right after he won the title, he wasn't released. He just said, "Hey, I got 2 weeks. I'll be gone." So, and clearly they didn't put him on TV when it came to that. So, like I say, sad to see both of those guys go, both vets. Let's go to Valhalla formerly known as AKA Sarah Logan. Did you ever meet Sarah Logan on Final Boss, or was she one of the Riot Squad young ladies you met? Was it just Liv and
Yes.
someone else?
Well, she was there. She
Okay,
was there.
okay.
Her, Ruby Soho, and Liv Morgan was there. I remember with the Wyatt Squad, they were popular, but they weren't huge.
Hmm.
Um, we had all breakout stars. Of course, everyone mostly remembers Ruby Soho. Um, and then we had Liv Morgan there, but she was there, but we're like she wasn't that big star. And we had Sarah Logan Connor in the background. Liv always had her fans. I mean, I knew that day when everyone ran up to her. Everybody she had her fans. Um, I'm not gonna talk about what happened with those stars that day. But Liv Morgan, she had her fans, so she was always recognized, but she didn't have her place. And even she said, you know, they didn't really know really what to do with her. When she was in the Wyatt Squad, of course she came out with a very colorful tongue. After eating candy, it's something that I believe Ruby liked, and she asked her what she was eating, and she was eating Jolly Ranchers, and that was a thing for her. And then but this Liv Dom thing really set her apart. It really blew her up. Of course, Ruby Soho, she went to AEW. She's been gone for a while. She's had a baby. Sarah Logan just wasn't used. She was used initially. She did some singles runs things, but she eventually was off TV forever. So Liv Morgan was just really trying to find her place, and then she finally found a place with the Liv Dom story. Um, but Sarah Logan was always kind of that, and this is something that we talked about in previous episodes, that when you have a stable, there's gonna be some that are left behind. Sarah Logan was the one that was left behind. She didn't really fit the group. I mean, you had Ruby Soho, who was more of this edgier character, very similar to your Pages, and now of course your Rhea's. Rhea wasn't there at the time, but that was her look. She was the leader of the Wyatt Squad. She was the leader. And then you had Liv Morgan. She was known as juvenile. She was, just kind of quirky in there, and cute little quirky girl. And you had Sarah Logan, who was, like the tough country girl. And she had like a very strange look. She'd come out with camo, and it didn't really get her over. And she wasn't bad in the ring. She just got left behind because you had Ruby Soho, who everyone loved. You had Liv Morgan, who people knew, and like she had her little fan base, and Sarah Logan was just kind of really, really lost in those three. And then when Ruby went to AEW, and Liv Morgan had, a few matches. Sarah Logan still had her few matches. Of course, she got married. I forgot his name, but one of the members of what's the name of that group? Even though I could hear you making noise in there, Miami. The War Raiders. I forgot what's her name, her husband. But when she got married to one of the guys from the War Raiders, so that was a thing that everyone knew. And they still weren't using her a lot. And they didn't put her really in any new groups. They didn't really have a storyline really for her. So she just really, really fell behind. I didn't even know that she was still signed, because I haven't seen her in forever. So that just goes to show you, like, they really did nothing with her. Just really bad booking. She needed a brand new character refresh. She should have been in a different stable after the Wyatt Squad, were departed, and they didn't do any of
Well,
that.
well, she was with the War Raiders for a while.
Right,
She had,
exactly.
she
Because that
had.
was
Do
because of her
you remember
husband.
the? Yeah, do you remember the spot where Matt? Speaking of R2, R2 came out in her slot in the women's Royal Rumble and got thrown
Oh, I
out,
don't
and
even remember that.
she was just screaming at R2 like it
I
was
don't
like
remember that.
crazy. I was like, yo, and right when she got in, she got eliminated quick, and I was like, whoa.
Mm.
I think it was that. I think it was. I think that was like 2 years ago. I forget what year it was, but yeah, he
It
came
couldn't have
out.
been that recently. I feel like
It,
it had
it,
to be a while
it,
back.
it was a while ago, but
Yeah, it had to
R-Truth
be a
came
while
out
ago.
her slide because her music hit. His music hit. He ran to the ring past her. She looking at him. He's looking at her, and he jumped in. Nia Jax was the one that eliminated R-Truth, and she was just yelling at R-Truth, your husband. Also, Adam Pearce was down there like, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" It was one of the most crazy clips ever. At a time. I think right after that they didn't do too much with her. She was with the World Raiders. Now she did Michael Cole, she had the antlers. They did something with that for a while. It was something that I felt like they could have went on, but I think she had got pregnant. But she had said when she got pregnant, she wasn't gonna come back anyway. So she was cool. She said she was done with wrestling. She was done with her business. She was gonna let her husband do it. So she already had told TKO, "Hey, don't worry about paying me. I'm good. I might won't. I'm not coming back. I'm gonna have my kids, and I'm gonna just stay home and have kids." At least she told him. So I've been her getting let go. I wasn't shocked because she already had announced that she was moving away from wrestling. Period. And then she was just gonna let her husband do it. And kudos to them, both for him and his tag team partners coming out for two tough injuries to just come back and just be back in the ring and do what they're going to do. We know that there are going to be some more releases coming real soon. I'm
I know.
hearing.
And when I start hearing about couples get released, I start getting real worried. Now I know that
Yeah,
you said like, hey, that's something that she want to do after she had I do remember the pregnancy. I of course remember like their wedding. Um, but Raw Raiders, they're good. They're used a lot because we don't have a lot of tag teams, right? But they're
especially
also
on Raw.
but they're also very mid card. They're great, but they still give me that mid card feeling to them, as good as what they are. And when you talk about letting a go or letting go, someone that is dating someone or married to someone, it reminds me of Keith Lee.
Him and me, Chan.
hmm It gives me
Mm,
those vibes because they let them go literally like days within each other.
mm-hmm.
So because you imagine you could let go, and you're like, well, hey, the other, your spouse tells you, hey, well, I just have to tighten it up. I'll do the best I can, and then they get the phone call that they're released as well.
Well, I
So now
think
there's nothing.
the last release is the guy. It was a guy from NXT. I forget who he was dating, and someone in the comments can probably remind me. But they both were released in the last releases, so that was two couples that was dating that got
Mm,
released the same day. I think he was asking for a release because his girlfriend got released. He was like, "Hey, well, I'm not working here.
yeah,
Y'all
and
let her
and
go. I'm gone," which
and then you
was
hear,
quite strange.
yeah, and you worry about people that other couples. Like for example, before we get into I think we're talking about Roman Reigns next, right? It's
Yeah,
on your list. Okay.
yeah,
We talk about others before we get to Roman. We talk about people like Luke Kaiser and Tiffany. Tiffany is doing great, but he hasn't
haven't
been
seen,
doing well. He
haven't
hasn't been
seen
seen.
Booker.
Besides
Yeah,
that one backstage thing was saying, "Hey," in the interview, "Hey, you weren't seen," and then that was it.
that was it. That
That
was what, 2 weeks ago.
we yeah. We
Mm,
also think about I forgot my train of thought of who that was now.
last Legend.
No, it wasn't an NXT person. It was somebody else. But that's another example. Trick Williams is now TNA champion. But we have Last
Well, you
Legend
got
who
well
lost
you
who who
well
lost
you got
who lost his partner.
Bianca and Montez. I
Yeah,
think they're a
but that
couple.
wasn't who I was thinking about either. But
Naomi, you got
um,
Naomi and Jimmy.
it was I was thinking about them either. It was somebody else. Um,
I'm trying to think of who you're talking about.
but yeah, we have couples, that are like that. I mean, they let go Naomi and before, and she's of course with Jimmy, famously with Jimmy. So we've seen that, and we didn't see Jimmy. Jimmy was doing backstage stuff. Now he's in the story now, so he might be safe. But we talk about how she said that this is going to be her last run. She wants to do things with be a mom and things like that.
Yeah.
So so we get
another person that was saying that once she has a child, she might won't be coming back. So
of course we had Carmella and Corey Graves, right?
Yeah.
So you remember how that happened? Like of course she had a tough pregnancy. She had a lot of complications. WWE. She said WWE wasn't really forgiving when it came for that. At the same time, it's like, okay, well, I understand that, but if you can't wrestle because you're sick, you're injured, then how do you want them to proceed? You can't use you unless you're healthy. So there's that, and then now she's pregnant again. So they would have lost that anyway. But then remember, months before this came out, Corey Graves was having a fit because they moved to NXT, and he looked at it as like a downgrade.
Yeah.
He looked at it as a real downgrade. And instead of him just saying, hey, I can move up and down, floor close shows, which they do all the time, he just took it as it's an insult to him. But not remembering, one, Corey Graves, you were giving a second chance because you were in a tag team in NXT. You have a neck injury, so you had to retire. You couldn't wrestle, and they found you a new career being commentary. So we have that. And then you have a now wife who was pretty good in WWE. She was heavily promoted as the Queen of Staten Island. She had a really good run with Money in the Bank. Probably one of my favorite Money in the Bank briefcase holders besides Alexa Bliss for females. And she had a baby and everything, and she unfortunately couldn't go back, but she went through a whole bunch of character changes before that. She had a sexy gimmick with the little shade, everything come out. I remember that. So, and of course she had that very famous skit with her and James Ellsworth. That was really great, especially for James, because it really got him noticed. Carmella was already the big thing back then. And so she's over there saying how WWE didn't want her, but you have a husband that was given a second chance even though he can't wrestle anymore. So and they kept him, and Corey Graves wised up and said, hey, I need to support Carmella. Let me go ahead and shut up. And he said I'm honored to be on the commentary team on the announcers booth. So I'm like, oh, that's a complete 180. So we have issues like that, like where we have one person may be well known, the other one not well known, but they date, and then WWE is stuck where they had this whole rule where they try to have couples travel together and try to respect that, but it's kind of hard to do when you have one person not being the person. Like we had worries about Street Profits and Bianca. Bianca was pushed. Street Profits were kind of in the middle. Now, of course, they're champions now, so we're kind of in the safe regards. But we had some concerns about them. We did, and I kind of still do. I don't think it's working, but they do have the tag team championships, so of course they're definitely trying different things with them. But at the end of the day, I mean, this is where we are. It's tough, and I think because so many stars date, which is fine, but I don't think they're going to use that rule where, hey, we got to keep you because you're dating someone, and it's a companionship thing. I think at this point with TKO, we don't care. We're gonna let you go. And then, hey, and if you're both bad, or if we don't see the value in you, or your contract costs too much money, we're gonna let you go. I mean, next thing I'm talking about is the Miz. They're saying the Miz have removed all mentions from WWE and wrestling from his page and say the A-lister anymore. He unfollowed the page on Twitter. They're saying that his contract is up in a couple of months. Same thing. And what's so sad? And this is the conspiracy that I promoted, right? All these people, Carlito, R-Truth, Miz, all people who had things with Cena.
Back in the day.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, but you know what? I don't think it's nothing to do with Cena. I think, if you want to talk about conspiracy, is that they have Cena there running down there like, well, Cena, aside that he's, excuse me, at his end of his career, while all these guys are not on their end of their career at this point. We still have Miz around. We still have Carlito around, was recently re-signed. We still have our Troop around. Why? And I think this kind of like this kind of put eyes on them that they didn't really see before. Right? I think just because of the timing, because they just kind of looked through the roster. But with Miz, I assume Miz is making a good amount of money because he's been there for so long. He was very, very regarded back when he first started. He won championships. He's a Grand Slam champion. Of course, now he's been mid card for a number of years now, but that's just because that's where he's at in the career. But at one time, he was on top of the world. He is what I believe they want Logan Paul to be that outside guy. This is a guy who came from MTV, the real world, went to Tough Enough and blew up. I remember the famous thing where he would take off the cover from the microphone, flip it upside down, and turn that W, into an M. Yep. So and then of course he has, he's married to Maurice, and she was a big thing. I know you don't remember her being champion, but she was champion. She was women's champion. She was mostly on Raw.
She's a Diva champion.
Yep, and she's mostly on Raw.
Matter of fact, she was Diva champion when CM Punk won his first Money in the Bank briefcase. I do remember that. I do remember her holding the.
Yeah,
I remember that because they had a backstage segment. So I do remember.
I loved all that, and of course, one of the last things they did, they had the very famous match against Nikki Bella and John Cena, where Nikki Bella and John Cena won. They got proposed to, and the last time, we've seen her come back a few times to assist Miz. We've seen that. Of course, we've seen where they had that whole feud with Beth Phoenix and Edge. We saw that as well. So she'll be sporadic here and there. She looks great. But yeah, he's been there for so long. I assume he's on a pretty big deal contract just because it's the Miz. Because he can always argue, hey, back when in my prime, I was the biggest thing. I'm still a legend in the making. I'm Grand Slam champion. These all things he's going to say. And he's still full-time. Not maybe not full-time matches, but full-time at least, on screen. Yeah.
And I think it was word coming out that he's going to get ready to be a game show host. So I mean, I think Miz is already good. Those game shows, they do pretty good, especially if it's successful. I think he'll make some good money off of that. So we'll see where it's going to go.
And it's just fishy to me how we got these teases of the Carmelo and him breakup.
Yeah.
And then now the stuff is coming out now where he's on the following pages. It's just real suspicious to me. I think it's going to be another case of they're just not going to re-sign him when his deal ends.
Well, let me be the first to apologize to Miz because I was like, man, I was so hard on him because I see Melo has so much potential, and I was like, man, break up this group. And I was just saying it just to see Miz be back a heel and make put over Melo as a face. That's what I thought they was going to do. That's the reason why I was saying it. But now it's a whole release. I feel like I feel guilty for saying that. So I am sorry, Miz. My one thing I do remember, because you sparked the memory with me, was when he was feuding with John Cena. Do you remember him and Maurice coming out as John and Nikki Bella? And the crowd was. And
that was one of my favorite things. She would have had and everything. Yep.
Yeah, the music hit, and they was in the ring, and the crowd was booing. And my favorite
line, and I love, and you know how I feel about Nikki Bella. I like her entrance. I don't care about her wrestling. Okay, I like when she comes out. One of her promos that she cut on Maurice was, "And I'm gonna beat you, bitch," and it was one of my favorite freaking lines that she freaking did. And I just absolutely ate up, and I loved it. All right. I mean, and I really wish now, an Ultimate Universe, which we can't have because Brie and not Brie, Nikki and John Cena have been broke up for years now. He's happily married, and she's going through her own stuff. But man, if they were still together and he was on his last tour, could you imagine they would have ran that back? They would have ran that back because as we know, there was talks
Oh
that
yeah.
Nikki Bella did
Oh
sign
yeah.
a Legends deal because that would have been so great. But unfortunately, I can't do that because relationship issues. But I mean, man, that would have been so
Yeah.
good. But yeah, it was one of my favorite feuds. And then when it came to Nikki, that was when she stopped coming. Remember they had that match at WrestleMania. Nikki won, but the whole point of it was she was supposed to rest her neck because she had a neck injury, and then she just never came back from it. It was pretty bad. Too many rack attacks, or what I say. That's what happened. It's tough. It's a tough move on. Yeah, it is because she's holding someone up and dropping to the knees, even though she's not putting the pressure on the neck, just by a little push and just by knee dropping. Doing that over time, it will cause weakness in the neck. It will cause injury. I mean, that's what it is. Even though you're not pulling your neck, the constant pressure, can cause injury, which I assume is what happened. I don't know for sure, but that's what I always assume. I was like, she got to stop doing the damn rack attacks. But I mean, yeah, I mean, this is where we are. It's like, I guess TKO looked at the roster and saw, hey, who else did Cena face back in the day? It might have been, and we're doing conspiracy theories. We're doing fantasy conspiracy theory bookings on Talk It Up. They could have went through and was looking for storylines for Cena to do on his last tour, and all these names came up. Well, who did he face? Who could he face? Well, he had history with The Miz. Well, he had history with R-Truth. Well, he had history with Carlito back in the day. All these people could have came up on that list and it raised flags. And then for someone who doesn't watch wrestling, which could be TKO members or not huge fans, could be like, well, how old is this person? How long have they been there? And how much are they making? And they pull it up and they're like, oh, why are they still here? Why are we not renegotiating? Why are they, also not retired or retiring? So I think that kind of opened up doors. I feel like we're going to hear that come out way later. Right, that I was right. But I feel like that's what it was. I feel like they just got noticed because they're looking at numbers and they're looking at storylines, and so people's names get brought up.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's all I have for the other releases. Besides, Karrion Kross is kind of in the same boat as Miz, where they're saying that his contract is up in a couple of months, and he also, they're also saying that he didn't get a renewal offer or anything, which is not uncommon. There's a lot of stories of them doing that, like literally the last 24 hours, or asking for an extension and then still deciding and then doing that. So that's not uncommon. But this is another example of a couple. You got him and Charlotte. Charlotte is just a manager. So if they let Karrion Kross go, Scarlett's gonna be gone too.
Scarlett, yeah.
Yeah, Scarlett. Yeah, Scarlett is gonna be not Charlotte Flair. Now hold on.
Yeah.
Nobody
attacking us on YouTube.
Not Charlotte Flair. Scarlett, would also be on that list as well. To just let them both go as a team. And speaking of Charlotte, this is another one. Charlotte was out for injury for a while. Injuries. Serious injuries for a while, and then we had Andrade there, and Andrade, he was great in NXT. Man, I missed him coming out with the title all in white and coming out and doing a little thing on his knees, and then he came to the main roster and he just kind of went down, especially after they broke him from Zelina. And then he went to AEW with the hopes it was going to be a lot better. He wasn't really used. And he came back, and then they kind of used him, but not to his full potential. Charlotte came back, and then we found out they've been divorced for a number of months now, really since she got that injury, but just not coming out. So now you hear that, and you hear his placement in the company. You're like, oh, I don't know how this is going to go. So we have that piece, as well. Also, we got another couple. We have Zelina Vega and Aleister Black. Zelina Vega, we've been pushing for her to get a chance for a long time. She has the ZB Army. Aleister Black, he was really great in NXT, House of Black and everything. Main roster kind of did a flop. Went to AEW. He had a good over there. That was okay, but it wasn't what I hoped it to be. But he always did say he wanted to go back to WWE. He finally came back and debuted. He was in a storyline that's very, very mid-card for me. Carmelo was one of the people that's part of that storyline. So I was like, wow, I don't know. But they had Zelina win on the same night he debuted. So she finally got the United States Championship for the women's division. He debuted. So I'm like, well, they're really pushing Zelina. They're kind of okay with Aleister Black. So hopefully everything is great. But man, if they would have had what they were years ago, where they had Aleister Black kind of flopping on the main roster, them not giving Zelina matches, I feel like they would have put them also on the block as well, on a chopping block. They would let them go together. But now, better place. He left, he's back. They're pushing her now. So she, there might be one of those safe couples. I think her and Montez Ford and Bianca are those two really safe couples. But I have a lot of concerns about people like Ludwig Kaiser and Tiffany. I feel like, they might let go Ludwig, keep Tiffany. Same thing with Lash Legend and Trick Williams. Even though Lash is very popular, very famous, according to people who watch NXT, she's not used a lot. Of course, we know about them breaking up her and Jakara Jackson, and then ultimately letting Jakara Jackson go. So there's a lot of pieces in there. But yeah, if you have any other thoughts, you can. If not, you can talk about the news on Roman. I'm excited to hear that because maybe I missed something.
No, you kind of basically hit all the points when it came to the Miz. First, I want to just give the praise of Miz, Carlito, and R-Truth. We grew up off of them, so they did amazing for their careers. At least they got the chance to do what they needed to do for their careers. I know the people before them was way much younger. They needed to get the chance to set their self for a career, but maybe they'll go out and come back and find their self again. So, like I say, thanks to R-Truth, Miz, and Carlito. And I knew Sarah Logan wasn't going to come back. She seemed like she was okay. She was at peace with it, but if R-Truth wants to do this again, please, R-Truth, if you do come across this video, do it in TNA. I feel like TNA will be the best send-off for him. It'll be poetic. It'll be so well. If they can do it well done and book it well, I feel like that's when he needs to end his career. Let's get into it. Let's talk it up about the Roman Reigns news that we've been hearing that been coming out. I did see it come up on a couple people's X pages. Asking about TKO wants Roman Reigns to take a pay cut. It was known that he's getting paid about $15 million final balls. They want him to take a pay cut in his contract. But from what I'm hearing, Final Boss, and I heard this today because you was telling me the news about he wasn't showing up. Well, from what I'm hearing, and I don't know if this news is true, they said when they negotiate this deal with him, they want to have Roman on Raw every week. That's going to be part of the deal. If he can't come every week, he's going to have to take a pay cut. So that's one of the things that I feel like he's going to have to do when he gets to the thing. So that's what I feel like he will have to do when it comes to Roman taking his pay cut. What's your thoughts about Roman Reigns getting this pay cut?
Okay, so I didn't hear your news, so thanks for sharing that. I did not hear about the piece where they want him to be every week. I did hear, and it's funny because I did say, man, no one's safe, man. I said, hey, Roman not safe, Rock ain't safe. The only reason Rock is safe is because he's on the damn board. But hey, if he wasn't the board, I would say he ain't safe either. But yeah, and it came out that they don't want to fire him, but they do want to renegotiate that contract because he's making estimated between $10 and $15 million a year. That they don't see the value in that pay, because for part-timers, what they said. He only worked, he worked a number of dates in 2022. He worked 11. Well, I did work 14. I think he worked 11 back in 2024. He's at 4 dates as of this year. So it's dwindling down, which, makes sense because he has, there's health issues. Also, he wants to phase into retirement as well. But for the pay, then they're not seeing the value in it now because it's a lot of money for the number of days that he's performing. Because you're literally, and it's going to be a tough pill to swallow, but you're paying $15 million to someone that's coming once a month. And when he does come that once a month, it's not always a match. He's kind of like where Cena is, where Cena is, where it's a promo or a storyline piece. He'll come for a month. He might have a match or two on PLE, but when he does come for a regular show, he's not fighting on SmackDown. He's coming, he's progressing the story, which is good. But at that amount, I mean, it's real high. Because if you're paying someone $15 million, that's pretty much like $1.5 million for 1 day a month, and he ain't staying the whole episode. Everyone who knows Roman, he's either coming out first or he's coming out last, and then he's going home. So you're literally paying him for about 30 minutes, $1.5 million.
Well, and I don't mean to cut you off. I feel like, and I guess I'm the Roman Reigns biased person here.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like this. And I watched the video, and it didn't make sense. This is your needle mover. This is your guy. Let's say this: we don't know where WrestleMania is going to be at. We don't know where WrestleMania is going to be at. Let's just kick the bullshit. Y'all bullshit. How much y'all will pay to see Roman Reigns and fucking Rock face each other at WrestleMania next year? If they announce it right now.
A lot.
How much would you pay?
We would
that
pay,
there.
But hold on though. This is the key part though, and it's gonna hurt you. It's gonna hurt the soul a little bit now.
I know you is. I mean,
but that's for Rock and Roman. How much would you pay to see Roman and Seth again?
Okay, for WrestleMania?
Yep.
What's on the line?
They just having a feud.
They're just having a feud?
It's not for a title now.
Well, okay, it's one or two things. It can be not for a title, but if the storyline is JT has been released. JT who? Somebody said JT.
No, he's saying relax. He's talking to Mike Marks. Calm down over there. Not having no more releases now. Hold on now.
I'm gonna say, whoa,
we don't have no breaking news on the Talk It Up show. Like, come on.
But no, if the storyline was, if it's a good cinematic storyline, because Roman can do that, and Seth and Roman has history. Let's just be real. There are Rock and fucking Triple H. There are Rock and Stone Cold. Let's just kick the bull jive. They really are. Both of these guys here can come in the ring and sell tickets. Seth is a vet. Roman's a vet. These guys know each other. We have seen them in their car have promos joking at each other and having a serious promo. They know each other so well. So if the story fits Final Boss, I would pay for it. It has to be a great story. But if it's not a great story, like the favorite stuff, I'm not going to pay for it because I wasn't into it.
And this is the problem. This is how people look. And we're going to talk about the business stuff after we talk about the Roman development. Is that TKO, who is not, if someone is not a fan of WWE and not a fan of a particular superstar, they're going to look at it as like, it should not have to be. The story has to be good for us to sell seats off that person. They want to have someone who is top paid like that to just show up and bring those seats. Similar to back when Undertaker would show up sporadically here and there. When he stopped wrestling full time, he started coming just at WrestleMania time, and people would come to see the streak is going to be beat, and they didn't care what the story was, just see him come out and do his long entrance, and then seeing if maybe the streak was going to, be broken or not. That's what they're looking for. They don't want to hear, well, he's a great star, but you want people to pay that big money, you're going to have to dig into your notebook and have a great storyline. They don't want that. They're not. Now, I'm not saying that they're not saying that he's not an asset, because they're still going to keep him. They're still going to pay him millions. But for that amount of money, the way business people are, they're not going to see that.
Yeah.
That's like you working a job and they hear all these things about you on a resume, but then you come and you say, hey, I want to make $250,000 a year. And they say, okay. So, we assume that, hey, you're going to be able to go ahead and do XYZ with limited training, and you're going to be the best performer, and we're going to pay you that. And then you say, well, I need a lot of training to really bring that. They're going to be, oh, well, we're going to go ahead and pull that money. It's the same idea. It's the same idea. And to be honest, much as we love Roman, and because of where they're going with the booking, people are not asking what Roman is right now. You know why? It's because of the booking, the story that we loved all last year, the year before last year, they killed. No one's asking for where's Roman. The storylines ain't come about, and the everybody's saying why is R-Truth fired? No one is saying where Roman is. I'm sorry, but that's where we are. Same thing with The Rock. The only reason why Rock is being brought up is because we're all pissed as hell because he didn't come to WrestleMania time. And that's it, because we don't have that story anymore. So someone can look at that and say, hey, that shows you that your character is good, but what's really selling you and your character is a story that's behind your character. And hey, we can kind of build that with somebody else. We know that's not true, because we know who the hell they're going to build like that. No one besides maybe Braun Breaker. But the businessman going to say, well, we could go ahead and take the same story, slap it on a cheaper guy and call it a day. We know that's BS, but that's not how they look at it.
Well, yesterday I said in the space, and I guess TKO needs to hire me if they want to make some money. Go ahead and do that match. Announce it right now. There you go. I don't care what the heck, unless it is across seas in London or Saudi Arabia. But if it's in the United States, people are going to go. You can announce Rock versus Roman right now. That's one match. I had another match that I came to my mind, and everyone loved in the space yesterday. And I was like,
hold on. But here's a tough pill, though. Much as I love Rock, much as I like Roman, a lot of people don't know. When Roman was big dog, Roman used to be the guy that was on my phone. A lot of people don't know that, right? But here's the thing, though. The reason why we were going crazy for Rock and Roman was, we love Rock, we love Roman, but it was the story that they were telling they were going to have between Rock and Roman.
I don't think people care. If they announce it now, I don't think people don't care.
That's not true. Because what if there was no bloodline story ever?
Well, now that's different.
Hold on.
Yeah, but it's already happened, though. You can't say that.
Story ever. And they said they wanted to do Rock and Roman as a final match, but there was never ever a creation of the bloodline story. He was
now hold up. Are we going?
But they weren't doing it.
Oh, if he's still tribal chief?
Tribal chief.
I'm still paying that. If it's still Roman tribal chief, I'm paying for that, because Roman Reigns tribal chief character by himself elevated that story. Mm-hmm. If we didn't do, let's just say we didn't do bloodline. Let's just say we did all the matches, because we still got to add Jay in there.
Well, we're not going to say the matches. We're just going to say just a story. Forget about the matches. Just a story. Okay, even if you did the story, because most of the story with Roman tribal chief was based around Brock Lesnar. Let's just be real. Yep. So let's just say we did that.
mostly in all the other matches where you had Daniel Bryan, Edge, Cesaro, all these other matches. Even if you did that, and let's just say we didn't add back the bloodline, we ended it with Jay, and we came back. You're saying Solo didn't come, Jimmy didn't come, and we still had Paul Heyman, who's great on the mic, and Roman Reigns. That chemistry.
So what if we didn't have? So what if we didn't have that real turn with him and Paul Heyman?
Were you talking about the first time or the one with the
first time when he came? Oh,
that would have been. It would have been better because it didn't make sense anyway. So if you're really giving me that, you're really giving me, because I didn't even understood why Roman punched him in the first place in the ring. So if you're going to do that, if you're giving me, let's just say we're not adding back Jimmy, we're not adding back Solo, we're not adding back Sammy, and no shade to all those guys. One of my favorite War Games match was that first War Games match where Roman hugged Jay and sent Jay in first. It was. I still watch that show. I still watch that match. That match alone, I watch it to this day. So let's take out that, and that was a great PLE. A great PLE. Let's give credit where credit due. But you're still giving me Roman Reigns tribal chief character, even when he had the Universal Championship. And you said, okay, when he was about to hit these amount of days before he hit Brock, and if Brock would have came back, this is me personally, maybe it's me being biased because I'm a Roman Reigns guy, I still would have paid for it. I don't care. And so you find someone that said, we had Roman, his first peak, when he was at the high. We talking about coming out there to the old music, the head of the table music. One of my favorite theme songs. No shade to people who love the OTC theme song, but I like the head of the table. That's my theme song. That's why sometimes I play it. But even if we would have had that, oh my God, man, think about, okay, let's say this, WrestleMania, because the first WrestleMania was him and Cody. That was at what, 39? If we would have, I think it was 39. So let's say we did Rock versus Roman at 39. I would have said, hey, sign me up. What we doing? Let's go. Even if they would have did that match and then turn around and said, okay, Roman, we're going to keep the title on you. We're doing this because Rock needs to retire. Next year we'll do you and Cody. Then year after that, we'll probably do you and Cody again and take the title off you. I still wouldn't care because we would have got Rock versus Roman. But now, don't get me wrong, Final Balls. I think we take for granted what you talked to me yesterday. We take the tag team match for granted. Mm-hmm. We take the tag team match with Rock versus Roman. You told me what Rock had to go through, the spots and stuff. Rock and Roman teamed together. These are two people that we want to see to this day fight each other. We've seen them team each other. Two of the biggest stars that the company is. Roman was at a high. Roman didn't need, even though there was times when you got the slap from Rock and people was like, oh man, Roman doesn't look like he Rock more, but it's the Rock guy.
I'm gonna let you in time out for like a minute. I see you that you're getting real passionate about your boy Roman.
I mean,
for me, the only way I'll pay that kind of money, and as much as I love Rock and as much as I like Roman, would be if one, they advertise it as being the last match,
which would have been,
or if they had the story which they was telling us before. If they just came out the blue and it wasn't Rock's last match and it wasn't a bloodline story, I wouldn't have paid.
Okay, I'm gonna ask this because you was there when Cody won the second Royal Rumble. Mm-hmm. Rock, okay, we got Rock coming in, gave Cody the hug. It was no story with that when Rock just faced Roman, and then we got the sterile. Right then and there? Let's say we still would have got that match. Would you want to still either see it or go? Let's just say because it was close to you, go to it.
But remember, it's not
okay. So there's no story there, Front Boss. There was
Paying
no
the money
story.
to go see.
Huh?
Paying the money, it depends
Well, it was
on
in
the
Philly.
price
Think
market.
about it. Tickets wasn't high as they are now. This was
Yeah.
we're talking about because this would have been
But
in
this is one
Philly.
of the pieces that you have to also remember. It's not about also. It's not all about always the star selling the tickets. It's the story with the star that sells those tickets at those prices. That's
I,
what it is.
I don't think people would have cared. People
That
was so hyped. People was
and you
so
know
hyped
what? And you
about
know
the
what?
stare off about
Then you
those
know
two.
what? Then you know what? Then you should not ever run a company because all you would do is you would never get any real money, because if you had no story and you just had just pure star power, yeah, you would
Now,
get. Hold
now,
on, hold on, don't cut me
now,
off. Don't cut me off. Don't cut me
okay, go
off.
ahead.
Don't cut me off because you're gonna be on here by yourself. But
No, I won't. I'll
but
break it back. What do you mean?
hey, I can go do other things. But
Oh,
and
Lord.
and you were late today. 30 minutes late. That's why our numbers is in the toilet
15.
like other companies. But anyway, you know,
This is what happened when y'all come to
but
talk
yeah,
at
but you know
Jesus
what?
Christ.
But yeah, the whole thing is that look at it. If you have a good story with big stars like Roman, like Rock,
Mm-hmm.
you can sell that for months. If you just have the big stars like Roman, like Rock, you'll sell the match, but you wouldn't sell anything in between. You would just be gambling on praying to God. People will pay the big tickets for that one day. You would have lost millions of dollars the whole way through.
Well, you was one of the people that said the first tease was when The Rock came out and said, "Should I sit at the head of the table?"
Yeah.
So that was the first tease.
Yes,
so let's just play this theory. My dog is in front of the camera. She want to sniff me out. So if y'all see Princess, it's her.
Aww.
Can you sit, baby? I'm okay. Daddy will be with you in a minute. Jesus, she's just so spoiled. She hear your voice, Vanderbilt. She must don't like you. Anyway.
Well, that's because she hear you in there yelling. So
yeah, she's probably like, "What are you yelling at?"
That's why.
But my thing is this: I feel like there would have been okay. Let's just say this: we're just playing fantasy. I know we do our fantasy booking, so let's just say right after the stare off, they would have probably built something. So I'm not just saying like, hey, I already was excited for the match. You sold me there. That's just me. This is your guy and this is my guy. Hey, let's go for it. If it is what it is, let's go. I wouldn't care. Now after that, I'm pretty sure they would have put something up because we was like a couple months away from, I think a month or two away from Mania.
See? And this is the difference is that everyone is different because I wanted to see the match when he teased it. Here, should I sit at the bar? The Rock likes the bar. I should hit at the I should sit at the head of the table and they want screen. I wanted to see the match, but in that moment, I wanted to see where they were going with the story.
Exactly. I feel like they would have did that. I feel like they would.
When they started to to tell the story, I wanted to see the fucking match. But at that moment when he said, "Should I sit at the head of the table?" I wanted to see where they were going. So for you to go ahead and say they didn't need a story and just a match, you're dead wrong. Because where they were going. That's how you sell your tickets. That's how you gain your interest. Remember, I was gone for WWE.
Mm-hmm.
I was gone. I was over there watching the other company, the other guy. All right.
That, we can talk about AEW here. We do that.
That brought me back. And I had to go ahead and do my homework and watch back weeks and months of wrestling highlights to know what the hell was going on. By the way, do your homework. But I'm not saying you, but in general.
No. I was about to get ready to your question, but go ahead.
But yeah, but that's how it gained. I want to say, I was like, well, where are they going with this? So I'm like,
I think
that was piquing my interest. That was your teaser. That's how you put the little ticket in someone's brain,
Mm-hmm.
like, hey,
Mm-hmm.
we're about to take you somewhere. It's going to lead
Mm-hmm.
to a match. Rock said it himself during the during the chamber press conference, where he said, usually when things happen, it leads to a match. The thing I like about the Final Boss character story is that it doesn't have to lead to a match.
Mm-hmm.
But which means he said he wasn't going to fight Cody. But like, what that piece that he said was correct. A lot of times when they tease something, the ultimate outcome is the match. But you have to get to the match. That is what's gained interest. That is what has us have podcasts. Because if they did not have that kind of stuff, which shows a lot about critical thinking at this point. Because if they did not have storylines and they just had people just do matches, even big stars, Roman, Rock, Seth, Punk, the Unseen 17, John Cena, the greatest all time.
Oh, Lord.
Hey. If they just had that, podcast like this would not exist, because there's nothing to fantasy book. There's nothing to talk about. Either you're going to win or you're going to lose. That's all it would be. So for you to go...
Now, don't get me wrong. Hold up. Now, don't get me wrong.
What would be?
I'm going based off of the Rock's first promo and the stand down. Now, after that, yes, tell me why. Because my first thought is he wants to be the head of the table. He already told me that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm already now. But I'm not just saying drop it and don't say nothing else about it. Now, if
No. We're just having a match.
It,
we're not even having that. We're not having no head of table. We did a match.
Well, okay. Well, no, because if you didn't do the first tease of the head of the table promo, then you're right. I don't have. Why is this match happening? You don't want that. Now that is correct. I don't want a match that's just happening. Yes, I know this is the Rock and Roman. Yes, I know they're cousins. Yes, I know they're part of this Samoan dynasty. Yes, I know they're most respected in their family. Yes, I know Roman has this Ulafala that's in his family that's most respected. The Rock is the high chief that's most respected. But is that what this is for? Is they fighting for it is? Are they just fighting to fight? Why are they fighting? They're cousins.
Well, you remember they didn't introduce all that stuff until later on. There was no all that.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so they didn't. That's what I'm saying. They didn't introduce
I'm gonna let you have your piece, because we got a lot of stuff to talk about, and we just getting started, and you was late today, so it's already 4:50. But I definitely want to talk about talking about superstars and talk about the It Girls. But I'm gonna let you go ahead and have your Roman moment, and I'm gonna be here. I'm gonna be quiet.
No, we're good with Roman. I feel like if before we get to it, like if Roman does take a pay cut, because like I say, the news did come out that they're in the deal. They are going to approach him as in coming every week. And if I feel like that, they're going to probably shorten his contract up to a year. Which meaning that next year could be his last year. It will not be 2 years, and that will be very, very weird if they do Rock versus Roman. Maybe they can do a career versus career, which it don't matter, because even if the Rock loses or Roman loses, they're both gonna go off in the sunset and just be done. We'll have to see. Hopefully we get that match sooner or later, but we'll see where they go with the direction. Everyone knows I love Roman. That's my guy. He always will be my guy.
We're saying Roman,
I will be like you when Rock leaves. I'm gonna cry when he's done.
But here's the thing too, is that Roman is say he's doing the 2 years and then he's done, but we haven't gotten a story of he's on the last run. We haven't seen that on screen, so we really don't know. That's what he said, but we really don't know, because we don't really know when his last, because we're not seeing that winding down story yet. So he may be there a lot longer. He may have an extra year. We don't know. So that's also the thing. I mean, and really the way TKO going, I think whoever is making a few million is going to be in the same boat. I think the only reason why CM Punk is skating through is because they know it's his last run. But CM Punk is like so full time. That's why they haven't picked on him yet. But I think anybody else who's in that R crowd, I don't know if you know anyone, but who else might be making a big amount like that and is on a real limited schedule is going to be in the same boat as Roman. Because really, I mean, who's your top guys? It's Roman, it's Seth, it's Punk, it's Braun Breaker. And Braun Breaker is not even the caliber of what he is now. That's why they're working with him. But if it was just him without Seth Rollins and Paul, he wouldn't be that big money maker. He's not there yet. He's in creation mode. I guess the same thing with what's his name, with the other guy. I can't think of his name. The other guy in the group.
Braun Breaker. Oh, you my Bronson Reed.
Bronson Reed. So too many Brons. But it is. They would let go of Braun Strowman, and we got 2 Brons left. And remember, that's another one. Even though he wasn't on this pay cut, he was on the last one with Braun Strowman. He was a top guy. He was a real top guy. He started falling down when they had the whole him and the kid being the tag team. But before then, Monster Among Men was huge. And I feel like if he still had that momentum behind him, he would have been making a lot of big money now. He also would have been on that TKO renegotiations block as well. Same thing, I think, also for Becky. The only reason why, her is not being brought up because she just re-signed. So it's not like she's like at the end of the contract. If she was, it would have been the same thing. I think also Charlotte, if she hadn't just came back and she was towards the end of her contract, it'll be the same thing. I think it's just about a money grab. But the thing is that she don't want to push all the big stars away. Imagine if Roman says, "Oh, well, I quit."
Oh man, man, you know what?
The only way that would work is if they do what we want and they have it planned to with him and Rock and everything. But if they actually just pull the Carlito crap and he just say, "I got 2 more weeks and I'm leaving," and they just pull him off TV, oh, it will be an absolute crap show.
Well, I say this, and this was one thing I think I talked to you about when it came to anything. A lot of people will leave, let's just be honest, but they will still have their core fans, because guess what? Everyone's just not a fan of Roman. You got people fans of John. You got people fans of CM Punk. You got people fans of Dominic. You got people fans of Cody. You got people fans of Jay. You got people fans of Jimmy. That's the thing about WWE. It doesn't. Yes, it will slow down a little. It will hit them hard. They're going to see it a little bit, maybe a lot, but not too much where they can be like, okay, we're done. It's sort of like when Sting was just the only big guy there at WCW. It was like, okay, people was done with it. No one was watching it because the only person they had was Sting. Sting was the last, outlaw in WCW, so that's why they went out of business.
Hey, the last outlaw now is Double J.
Well, yeah, in your words, but we'll see. Let's go to the Roxanne and Stephanie Valkyria. Are they the new it girls of Raw? Stephanie Valkyria, great win. Both of her and Roxanne are in the Money in the Bank match, and also Stephanie will be doing Worlds Collide and Money in the Bank. She's doing double duty. Final Boss told me that they're both across the street. Shouts out to our Sports for You family that will be attending that show.
That was John who said that. I believe John is doing some live stream stuff with Nessa from Humble Roses. So if you're not a fan of us, then go ahead and check them out, I guess.
Well, all these 169 people, I hope they're fans of us.
Hey, shouts out to 169 people. We don't talk it up.
I hope y'all are. We sorry for what we did. I don't know how it is
on the YouTube side. I don't have the link for that, so it's not being promoted right now. Probably nobody. It's probably just you, A1-ish, because I don't have the link for it. So.
But now, I feel like when it comes to Roxanne, oh Lord, when it comes to Roxanne and Stephanie Valkyria, they probably are the new it girls. They probably are now the girls that will lead this new women's era. They're both young. Stephanie's came up on her and Roxanne. Well, Roxanne was kind of in NXT for a while, but Stephanie came up quick. So that means she's picking up pretty quick. So that's a good thing to see. Roxanne, I don't know if you knew this, Final Boss. She said they was asked before she came up to NXT that she was saying that a group that she wanted to be in or form was the Judgment Day. She always wanted to be in the Judgment Day. So this is something they giving her. So they must have quite a great belief in her and Stephanie Vaquer and Roxanne. What's your thoughts on these two young ladies? I know you're becoming a fan of Roxanne, so give us your take on Stephanie and Roxanne, and we'll go on to our next couple topics.
Yeah. I did see that interview, which is that she wanted to be part of the Judgment Day, talking about Roxanne. I think this is what JD needed, because all we got was just teasers of dissension and breakup for months now. Of course, we know that there was some developments where, Liv lost the title. Now she's tag team champions with Raquel Rodriguez. We also know that the developments were dissension between Finn Balor and Dom, who was the real leader. Of course, we have the Liv Dom, where Liv went on the revenge tour, and they pushed out Damian and Rhea. We also know, later on down the line that Liv and Raquel won the tag team titles, but all that stuff was in the past. We were kind of just in the float where we didn't know what they were going to do with them. This is giving them new life to JD, because we're so tired. I know I'm so tired of seeing this dissension if they're going to break up or not, and who's the real leader. Now that after they lost Damian, of course. And it made me a fan of Roxanne. I haven't watched NXT really in a number of years, since Black and Gold, and I wasn't too big of her call up initially. I was like, yeah, she has a weird look, but it's really a common look. So I was like, I don't know. But now they introduced her into the story. Oh yeah, they've sold me. I am now a Roxanne fan. And I think it's interesting because there's so many ways they can go about this story. And I think it's going to really have not just Roxanne shine, but also Finn Balor shining as well, because Finn Balor is one of the key people in this story, where you kind of have him kind of playing puppet master, behind the scenes between, Dom and Roxanne. He's kind of playing like he's doing little weird things behind the scenes. So I really like that. It's the way it elevates two people at the same time. And then you have Dom there kind of seeing it, but kind of just blowing it off. You have Liv there. We're kind of not sure where she stands. So it's giving everyone a lot of pieces. It's also even giving Raquel Rodriguez, the person in the back, a piece, because you have Liv saying that, she was told everything, through her. So you kind of have her also having a better role in the story. And it couldn't have came at a better time because we lost Carlito. So now that, we have Roxanne here, we're not so focused storyline wise on Carlito, because then the whole development will be like, well, where is Carlito? And then we'll find out that, hey, he's being released, right? They'll be like, oh. So I like the timing, where at least when it comes to that. I think that this story is going to be really good for Roxanne. I think TKO, they heard Roxanne and she wanted part of Judgment Day, and they said, hey, it worked for Liv. Let's run it back again. And now, we're going to have the new It Girl, which is Roxanne, come and really make a name for herself out of this group. And then maybe we'll get a few more extras out the group, be bigger in the same time, like the Raquels and like the Finn Balors. So I really like it. I'm excited for it. I'm hoping that it helps also with the direction of those tag team titles. I mean, because we're seeing Liv and Raquel having single matches, but they're not doing anything with the tag teams, besides saying, hey, sister, and cheering them up and clacking the things together and the titles together, and then just going about their day. So I like this element, and I think it also is good for Liv because we're like she can go back to being with Rhea again. We were like, where is she gonna go with this? Now she has a new person to have stories with, and then that's Roxanne. So it's also gonna be a facelift, for Liv because they're still together. We still have Dom and Liv, but we can't have this story forever because we have, Dom is IC champion, Liv is tag team champions. They can't have them push this whole love story so far because it's just, we've done everything. He's beaten his dad with the help of Liv. She's won the title, lost the title, he's won the title, she got a new title. So what's the next part of the story for Liv Dom is really the breakup, right? Um, which we could have went one way. We could have had a double turn with her and Rhea, where Dom turns on Liv and goes back with Rhea. We're not getting that. It looks like we're gonna do something with Roxanne instead. So this is kind of be the ending to that story, which is what we need, and either a progression in JD or the breakup of JD, which is one of those two is what we actually need as well. As far as Stephanie Valkyr, like again, I don't really watch. I don't watch NXT. Um, I'm not sold on her just yet. I do love her entrance. I do love her horns a lot. I love that a lot. To me, she looks like she's really good in the ring. Um, but yeah, I really do like her entrance. I think she's gonna be very, very great. I think she is what they needed to spice up the women's division a lot. They've been calling a lot of people up. Of course, we got like Lyra, we got her and things with Becky Lynch as well. But I think we needed another person that's not tied up really too much in the story to kind of be there, and that's Stephanie Valkyrie. She's the up and comer that is really, really good, looks really, really great, but is not tied up in a story. Everyone else is tied up. Technically, Roxanne's tied up in the story. Technically, Lyra is tied up in the story. Where's that person that's called up and just has no story yet? That's your Stephanie, and I think she's doing a great job of doing that. Um, yeah, I think this is the future of the women's division. I feel like they should have moved one of them more so to SmackDown. No, I feel like they could have put Stephanie on SmackDown. I feel like she was needed more there because we got Roxanne on Raw, and she's the face. I feel like they could have used her on more so on the SmackDown side. Maybe they felt they didn't need to because they have Alexa over there, they have Charlotte over there, of course Naomi, and now Bianca's back, Jade. So maybe they said, hey, it's kind of full with all these main stars already over there. But I feel like that newer face would have definitely, elevated it. But hey, but I'm happy to see her up, and I'm excited. Do you have any opinions about Stephanie Valkyrie or about Roxanne Perez?
No, I just I would like to see where they're going to go. Hope they have great careers. I know Cora Jade was a person that was let go. I know she's real close to Roxanne. I hated to see her go. But when it comes to Roxanne and Stephanie, they remind me of I don't know if you remember when the first time when Charlotte, Becky, and now Mercedes Moné first appeared on Raw, and they shot them to the roof. They just straight like put them to the sky, and they never looked back. I'm getting that same feeling when it comes to Stephanie and Roxanne. It seems like they're booking them the same exact way. That's the only time I can think of a time where I seen this type of booking when it came to women, but it was more than one woman back then. It's only two now. But that's just the feeling I'm getting. Hopefully, Jillian gets the same thing too. It looks like they're going to put her for the United States title because she did tease that with Zelina Vega. We'll get into some of our predictions real quick before we close it out. But I know you wanted to talk about the TKO side of business, but is TKO best for business, Final Balls? Because me and you, we kind of went
Hold
over it.
on. There's some other things we want to talk about as well.
Yeah, we got a lot of things to get into.
Um,
Go ahead.
especially, well, before we get into the TKO thing, I mean, one of the things, that came out and which we heard of, we saw, but it was that Rock had some issues backstage.
Oh yeah, I did see that.
We heard it came out that at WrestleMania 40 there was a misunderstanding between who was going to pick him up, whether it's going to be he was going to fly himself with his own private jet, or there was the WWE going to send it. Back and forth, it's like, hey, you come get me, and it ended up being like they had issues with the plane itself. There's something that Wolfgang talked about. Wolfgang recently released. Talked about as also was a thing where they're saying that there is some real tension between Triple H and Rock, more so on the creative side, because he wanted things to go a different way with the story versus Triple H. I feel like Triple H was the better. I think he saved the story. What Rock wanted is that he wanted the match with Roman, but he wanted to win the match and then turn babyface by giving Roman the title to him and the people, which I think would have been a terrible, terrible story. As much as I love Rock, but Triple H said no. He wanted to push back on it. Now I don't know. Now we don't know what the story was going to be between Rock and Roman, because remember they changed it over to the Cody thing. That came later when Rock said, "I want to give it to Cody." But we don't know what Triple H's ideas would have been for Rock and Roman, like who would have won and how they would have had that work out. But I think that was a good call by Triple H. Triple H also did not want Cody to turn heel. I think that was a good thing, because if we would have got Cody turning heel, we wouldn't have gotten Cena turning heel. So there's also that too. So a lot of Triple H's booking decisions wise when it comes to that, is great, because remember, if Rock would have done the whole thing with what he wanted, which is to face Roman, which we still want, but to go ahead and win and then get tied back to the people and leave and pretty much, retire, right? We wouldn't have gotten the heel turn with Cena. That wouldn't have been a thing, because he would have been gone. He wouldn't. The final boss character would still not be in existence, because the whole thing is he's going to turn babyface by giving it to Roman. We wouldn't have had the soul thing for Chamber, even though it was a favor that he did for Ari, the president of TKO. We wouldn't have even gotten that, because it wouldn't be the final boss character anymore. So, so honestly, in hindsight, thank you for Triple H for making those calls, because we would have a lot of those stories that we did see, even though they didn't progress as we wanted them to be, we wouldn't have even gotten those at all. We wouldn't have gotten those moments, because the character would have been gone and Rock would have been gone as far as being active on the roster. He'd just be, TKO, but we wouldn't be there. That character would definitely not be. He wouldn't have babyface. We wouldn't have gotten any of that character. So I mean, hey, it depends, how you want to look at it. There's a lot of things that's coming out now that we didn't know before, that we speculated about, but we didn't really know before. One of those things as well is that the Good Brothers are saying that this is not WWE anymore. This is now really TKO. Now you're really starting to see their input and everything, which they're right. But as far as best for business, to answer your question, yes and no. I feel like, TKO, it can go two ways. Either they're going to save the company, or they're going to kill the company. They're going to kill it by possibly having, a lot of big stars leave, right? Because we don't know if
and not want to pay them. Don't forget that.
Right, because we don't know if stars, are going to want to take these pay cuts. We don't know if Roman's going to want to take that pay cut or agree to those terms. I don't think he's going to leave right away, but I think he's just going to be like, well, no chance I'm going to extend it. So there's that. And of course we lost R-Truth, because the original thing that came out was that they were probably going to re-sign him, but like at a low ball offer. And so we don't know who else is going to be also on that list. Whoever else is big star, big money makers, your Seths. Now Punk, a little different. He's on his last, but people like Seth, people like Becky, which we're not quite sure where Becky's going to stand. They may not stay in the future, because of their cost cutting. Charlotte as well. That's a good example. Thank you for that.
Charlotte.
But are you saving the company? Because remember, we have ticket sales at a low. We have the viewership at an all-time low, and that was a go-home show for Raw, and it was one of their lowest ones it was the lowest one since the debut on Netflix. WrestleMania for them is the retail's Christmas, right? It's like all retailers, they're gonna do, if they do crap the whole year, they're praying that's gonna break them out of having bad sales. Will be the Black Friday and Christmas season.
Mm-hmm.
For WWE, if you do bad all year, what's going to break you through, we're hoping, will be WrestleMania. And the ticket sales were not, even though they were high price, the actual number of tickets weren't there. Because the card was just not good. The lead up to it was just not good. Yeah. So it didn't sell, even though it was in a good place to have it. It just wasn't there. So I mean, hearing that and knowing that, and they're making these cuts. I mean, this is an equation that I broke out to you days ago. So we know that Mariah May, who recently debuted on NXT, happy to see her, love her.
Yeah, that's the girl.
Yes. She was offered over $1 million to re-sign with AEW. WWE offers her about $225K, which is a little bit less than $250,000. $250,000 is $250,000. So that's $225K. If it is true, which we don't know because we're not in the back room, we're not backstage with TKO and we're not in the boardroom, unfortunately, right? But if it is to be believed that Roman is making 10 to 15 million a year, and if they were to go ahead and pay all these lower card stars about $250,000, they could pay 60 people just on Roman Reigns' figure alone. 60. If you have stars that's going to take a pay cut like that, or up and coming stars, it could pay almost 60 people just with one salary alone, one contract alone. So, you're looking at a company where, hey, we're missing, we're not having the sales, we're not having all the viewership, so we're down in multiple parts. How do we save ourselves now before it becomes an issue in the future? And one thing that I always bring up is the story of TNA back in the day. We had
Hulk Hogan.
Hulk Hogan, yep. We had Hulk Hogan come in, and back then he didn't have all the heat on him like he did now.
Yeah.
But we had Hulk Hogan come in. He brought all, we had all the guys there. We had, all your legends, all the RVDs and Rhinos and everything. But he wanted to go ahead and bring back in the NWO. So we had him and X-Pac and Big Sexy Kevin Nash and Razor Ramon.
Say hello to the bad guy.
Yeah, we had all those people back then. And he wanted to pay them like astronomical amounts of money. Which, hey, if you're not a business guy, which, and you're more of a fan, you would think, go ahead and pay them. The money is gonna make itself because you have all these big names, which makes sense. Which what we talked about earlier, when we got into it, was, hey, you got these big names, people will pay, right? But that's a gamble. Right? So people might pay, but it might not be the number that you think. And then you have a point where you're paying all this money out, for these stars, but then you're not making the money off those stars. And that's what happened with TNA. That and an issue with, of course, them not being able to find a good channel to be on, a good network. They were on like Access TV back then, and they were on really late. And even now they're not on, they're not on cable, they're on the app. Then they had the issue with the arena where, and this was another Hulk Hogan's idea, was to not travel, was to just buy out, have a deal and just buy out a arena or so in Florida and just do it there, thinking that it'll be cheaper in the long run because you'll save on travel expenses and save on all this other expenses by traveling to different cities. Thinking, hey, we could just pay one price, pay it off, be done with it. That's another example of not a person who knows about business, because you would know that, okay, it might seem like a good idea, but it's not a good idea in the long run. Why? Because you're not traveling, so you're not reaching other audiences. How many times are you going to go and see TNA? Let's say you're a local person and you're going to go to that same show every damn week. No, you're not. And people are not going to travel like that. I'm not saying it's impossible. Most people are not going to travel states to see a regular show. They will for a pay-per-view or PLE, not so much from states. Now, if you're like 3 hours away and you're in a nearby state, fine. But you're not going to travel across the country to see usually a TV show, unless something happens or the favorite star comes up, whatever the case may be. But you're not broadening your audience. You're literally having the same people in the same town and hoping they're going to come to that show every single week. It's not, it's only so much. How many times am I going to see, AJ Styles fight? How many times am I going to see Samoa Joe fight? These were the TNA originals back then. Christopher Daniels, Kid Sapien. How many times am I going to see these people fight? I love them, but over and over again for months, weeks, years, it's just not feasible. You're not grabbing new eyes. You're only opening yourself to local people. And what happened? They saw the result of it pretty quickly, because they were at a point where they were giving out tickets out on the sidewalk, before the show. They were handing out free tickets because local people were drained out of going to the show over and over and over again. You would know that, if you had been to school, if you looked at talk shows. Talk shows don't travel. Talk shows, they stay in the studio, and who they get. What's the difference? Talk shows are free. They don't you don't pay money to just see talk shows. Maury show, Up the Field show. Those are free shows that they hand out to local people, that you can, if you want to go ahead and travel, you can. But you don't see them selling out, whatever. That's not the purpose. They don't make money off that. They just care about being on TV and making money from viewership and from the adverts, things like that. But at a show that requires, money from ticket sales, that's, you're not traveling, is not going to be your best adventure. Same thing with AEW. When they started traveling outside of Jersey and things like that, it opened new eyes. It really built up, their brand. You have to travel and get new eyes on the product. You're not, so that, and ultimately that's what hurt TNA. Now, granted, they fought their way through. They're still around. They're doing great now. But that was one of the struggles that they really, faced. And someone that's a business like TKO will see things like that mean say, hey, it's good in the moment. What's good in the long term? What's good in the future? Right now, hey, it might feel good to go ahead and to pay, stars these big bucks because they're selling tickets. But a lot of these stars that we are paying these big bucks to, they're not available because of schedule restrictions. So we're not having them on them shows, which means that we're not having sellouts of tickets. So now we're losing money because we're not having the stars that we're paying the big money to go on these shows, and people are not buying the tickets because the stars are not on these shows. So we're not seeing that investment anymore. So that's how TKO is looking at, these cuts. And then we'll start going down to the nitty gritty of, well, what can we lose for an expense? And honestly, if people just ran a business just based off pure favoritism because they love a superstar or they love certain things, that company wouldn't last 12 months. You can't run a business just because you like that superstar or you like that city or you like that music. You have to run off what is going to make you last in the future. And the way they're going right now, because of they have all these great stars, but they're mostly part-time and they have big money contracts. And I'm not saying Roman, I'm saying most of them do. And they're not available for these shows, and creative is not booking them to even make sense for these shows. I mean, then you're just losing out. You're just losing out, and eventually that would cause bankruptcy for a company. They just signed a 10-year deal with Netflix, $1 trillion deal. It's like, was it like 3 trillion with a T?
With T.
And instead, what are we seeing now? We had the lowest ratings lowest ratings on Netflix, and that was for a go home show for Raw, and one of their top PLEs, which is Money in the Bank. And so we're not seeing the investment. We had WrestleMania in Vegas, and it didn't sell because we didn't have all the stars there, and we didn't book it properly. I mean, so we have to look at these things. I mean, Vince McMahon, when he was there, he saw writing on the wall. What did he do? He cut pyro down. One person that had pyro was just Brock Lesnar. Paul Heyman didn't have a contract. Paul Heyman was working directly for Brock Lesnar personally. He fired, 144 people? He was looking for a buyer. He ended the network. One of the things that came up was, and I forgot who it was, but they wanted to get rid of the network because it was killing the company. Because they could have made money off pay-per-views, but instead we were selling it for $9.99 on their own platform. So they really weren't making any money from the PLEs besides from people who bought tickets. So everybody was paying $9 for a pay-per-view on their own platform that they owned. And Vince didn't want to sell the Peacock at the time. He wanted to keep the network around, and the whole thing kind of happened. Ended up selling it to Peacock. Now Peacock, they have their own struggles. NBC has their own struggles. They're going through bankruptcy, or at least they once were. But at least they sold it to a company to make some kind of deal and money off of it. Them doing it on their own, having their own platform, there is no money coming out of that. You're not selling pay-per-views. You're charging a subscription a month, and that's it. So they said that also hurt WWE back then as well. And that was one of the reasons why they were looking for a buyer. And they talked about Disney and Fox, at that time, ultimately came to TKO. But I mean, this is where we are. I mean, TKO saw it. They saw what Vince saw, right before, everything got sold and before he ultimately was pushed out. I mean, they're trying to. I mean, even though we hate the decisions and it's not looking good, I think they're in panic mode and they're trying their best to secure their future. We also heard that Nick Khan sold a number of shares that came out, a big amount of shares, that he sold, which doesn't mean that he's leaving, but it means
$4 million.
Wow, yeah. So that means that they're probably looking for someone else to take those shares. And there is a heavy chance that I believe that they're going to be looking for a new buyer outside TKO. I don't know if TKO is going to continue to wanting to be their buyer for the company. I think they're looking for somebody else to take those shares and to ultimately buy them out from TKO. I don't think TKO's interested anymore. It's the reality. I think we'll really tell would be next year's Mania. I think TKO will probably wait until then and see what these sales will be for next year's WrestleMania. And depending on how they go, they may opt to sell off the company somewhere else. Where, I don't know. But I think that's where we are. Netflix, I don't know how they play a role. I mean, they're probably pretty much stuck with it. But as far as TKO, I feel like they're going to end up looking to sell it off to someone else who want to take on the risk of them now. So it's a very serious thing. But I feel like TKO is doing, as much as we hate the decision that they're doing and they kind of rash, they're doing it for the best of the company and really to secure its long-term success. This is what they're doing. Stores do that all the time. A lot of times stores, they take on loans, they cut corporate first, um, and then they kind of cut funds everywhere else. They close down stores. Secondary, once they cut people that's making money at corporate level. They'll do buyoffs. They'll look for a seller, and that's how they try to fight the way through bankruptcy. Um, Sometimes it works. Charlotte Russe did that. It worked for them. Sometimes it doesn't work. Like Party City didn't work for them. Sears didn't work for them. Kmart didn't work for them. I mean, so we'll see. But I think we're in for a lot of revelations going to come out about a lot of different things. I think we're going to hear a lot of interesting news about what's going on behind stage. I think we're already hearing that now and seeing that now. I think everything that we have heard rumors about is finally going to come to fruition. We heard, stories about, The Rock and Triple H, and we kind of thought it was maybe kayfabe, but also kind of there. But nah, they're good. Now we know it's really not that good for real. So all these stories are coming out. But do you think TKO is best for business? And what's your opinion about, what they should do and what's your critiques on how they're handling things now?
You made so many great points. Final boss baby. I'm gonna start here. Marketing, no matter what you're doing, is very important. Just because you promote, even if you're doing it yourself, I know a lot of people say it's spammy. If you're promoting it on someone's timeline or you start up your own website, whatever platforms you use, if you're just going out there doing it yourself. Back in the day, old school hip hop, we used to make the CDs. You see the people on the corner, they used to sell it themselves. That's the only way you used to get your name out there. Nothing has changed. I think the mindset has changed. Some people feel like, oh, if I go live or I start a space or whatever, Twitch or whatever it may be, people are going to come. You can have the same audience, and guess what? Your numbers might stay the same. That's not the point of what you're trying to do. The point of you trying to do what you're trying to do is to grow. That's just it. You got to grow. The only way you're going to grow, you and your team, y'all got to get out there and grind. Even if it is one person, okay, it is what it is. I mean, hey, if that person's good at what they do, that's what they do. And trust me, when that person leaves, you're going to see it. I don't care how you're going to be doing 10 times the work trying to bring that number back and probably never see those old numbers again. When those numbers go down, you got to start being worried. Hey, do we need to bring this guy back? Do we need to change something? Do we need to bring new faces in? And or what? You've seen it with Disney. You've seen it with ESPN. You've seen it with all these big corporations. TKO is not the first. They will not
DC
be the
Marvel.
last.
DC Marvel.
Marvel is a great.
DC freaking Marvel.
Marvel, I was going to
Marvel. Big.
I was going to do a break it down just how the way WWE and Marvel have sort of the same effect on the universe. Because Marvel was big, man. Marvel was like, and what they're at now, you would never think like. And correct. It was, guess what? It was a lot of the creative of the writing of some of the movies in it. I'm a big Marvel fan. And some of the movies in it, I was like, huh. And you got some shows that are good, some shows are not. And you're like, man, what are we doing? And it reminds me so much of WWE. Even if they do have these writers in there, you have the wrong writers in the writer room.
And here's the thing is that, one of the things that happened before TKO took over was they was looking for ways to find money. And that's when McMahon decided to do Saudi Arabia shows. That was what helped, get them buyouts. So, hey, even if WrestleMania didn't make it, they still had Saudi Arabia, the Crown Jewel shows to make up for that.
And I wonder, Fundaballs, because the reason why we're getting so many their shows this year, because they supposed to be having 3. They was trying to get off under this deal, but now this news has came out. I don't think they want out of the deal because they don't got no
I don't
money.
know.
This is one of my fears, and I'm just gonna be honest. Let's just say Roman leaves, they fire Triple H, Rock leaves. Who's gonna run this company, y'all? Y'all want Vince back, but y'all left when Vince let those 140 something people go. A lot of y'all went to AEW. Let's just keep it real. A lot of you went to AEW and started watching that company.
But here's your caveat, though. Yes, Vince did a lot of bad things. We know that now, and he did a lot of crazy things as far as booking wise, creative wise, making deals. Like Saudi Arabia deal, that's blood money. Like the network, which we love, but it was really kind of a bad idea because you're wasting, you're not getting money on PLEs anymore, and you're not selling it to another platform to even get money from that platform. This was a bad idea now looking at it, right? But this was someone who had ran the company for like 40 plus years, and then it kind of went the way it went. Triple H has only been here for about 5 years, and this is the way it's going.
But so, hold on, and this is my fight back. When WWE first started, Vince made a lot of bad decisions. Y'all see the documentary. Right. The documentary when he first started, it wasn't just peaches and roses now.
Here's the thing, and here's the reality. This is what's going to hurt you once again. They're not having the sellouts right now. They're not having a viewership right now. But they do have, I say, legends or future legends on the roster. Cena's still there. Roman's still there. Rock is still, I guess, there. Seth Rollins is, of course, still there. CM Punk is still there for now. AJ Styles is still there for now. You kind of have Taker kind of floating around, like when he wants to come ride his little bike again, I guess, for a favor. Stone Cold was there whenever you call him, and you pay him a little money, he might come and do the hell yeah and then leave. And HBK is still there. What's going to happen 10 years from now when all those people are gone, and we don't have the only star that we have that's set in stone that maybe the next big thing is Breaker, and of course a lot of the upcoming females now, but we don't really have that breakout star besides Breaker, and that day is coming soon. It's not coming years from now. That day, we don't have at least 5 of the people that I just mentioned. It's like next year. I hope you guys know that, because Cena's gone in December. CM Punk was last year, so he's probably going to be done next year as well.
What?
AJ Styles has months left. Seth will be there because he has 5 years left. But a lot of those people that I just named won't be there in 12 months from now. That day is coming tomorrow.
Well, I think Final Balls, and this is my thing. I feel like we need to book some of these guys better now. I feel like Breaker and Dominic, and Dominic can be that future. But this is my thing. They gotta book these things. And then let's just keep it real. Money in the Bank. Believe it or not, the tickets front row, because I did go look it up because I was just wondering what was to be the cost. They're like, what? I think I said $400 front row, if I'm not mistaken, which is pretty good. I haven't seen that price in a while.
And then here's the thing, though. Here's the thing, is that if we're not selling out arenas and tickets now, and we have those legends still there, what do you think is going to happen next year? We don't have them there anymore. Do you think it's going to get any better? You think they're going to be able to sell?
Well,
no, because we can't rely on them anymore.
Let's say this: are we booking everyone better than we are now?
I don't think the booking is going to turn around in 12 months.
Okay, 12 months is a year, Final Boss. That's a long time to book some good stuff build a lot of things up.
Hey, we had a whole year to book last year's Mania, and look what happened.
But they fucked it up. Okay, that was okay. So you should take that. That was a good thing, because and you're a main person that always tell me, if you make a mistake, learn from that mistake and go back and not make it again. So if they made this mistake which is they have to swallow that pill. Sometimes we gotta swallow a pill. Hey, we made a mistake. We gotta go back. I don't give a damn. Sometimes you gotta go back to what you know. Sometimes you gotta go back to a person that you used to have. I don't care. Y'all don't like each other. You don't like each other. Whatever. We gotta work together to make the greater good, to make this company be better. I say the prices
that one person, Drew McIntyre.
What about him?
Drew McIntyre.
What Drew? Yeah, Drew.
It's also on that kind of legends edge right now too. Randy Orton.
Randy.
Well,
Randy said he wants to go a while, but yeah, we'll see.
We'll put him on the side with Seth. They're at that 5-year mark. So, okay, so really we have until next year, but really at the 5 years we have nothing.
Well, this is the thing, and this is what's going to kill him too. It's just not booking. I feel like them not paying because a lot of people are not going to want to come. I think that's going to kind of hurt them a little bit too, unless the people want to make, because unless they want to get new people that hasn't been there, and that, like I say, because WWE name is so big, it's hey, we're coming here for cheap because I know it'll get me some stats when it comes to maybe getting a movie deal or this and this and that.
Right,
yes, but it's still killing your company. I feel like that's what I feel like.
But here's the thing though, is that one, if we go that logic where, hey, we're bringing in people that are smaller, known, but are probably big on independence, but willing to take that pay cut because their dream is to be with a promotion like WWE or even as big as TNA or AEW. That's not going to hold the same value years from now the way that they're going. Those people will be like, used to be the top, but now you're kind of dwindling down. So that pay cut, a lot of them stars may say no now. That's also kind of a problem. That dream of you being at the big guy is kind of gonna die. That's also a problem.
Do you see this company? Oh, go ahead.
The other problem is that, okay, you just said the tickets for Money in the Bank wasn't that high. Is that a sign of TKO being, hearing us saying, hey, tickets are too high, we're going to lower them down to sell more tickets? Or is that a sign of struggle? Because we're talking about the same company that was charging $50K initially for WrestleMania, and then down to $30K, $10K, and then it was selling for a few thousand, $2,000, $2,000 was the WrestleMania. So this is a company that historically now, since they took over, they have been having outrageous ticket prices. And they're doing these cuts, and now ticket sales, prices are lower. That's not a sign of. That's a sign of really of a turn of failure, because now they're saying we can't sell this for $10K anymore. People are not going to buy it because we don't have that power anymore, and it's too risky for us to go ahead and keep these tickets at $10 and $5K, because if they don't buy them out, some money is better than no money, is what they're saying at this point. That's what it is. I'd rather take the $1,000 and not take any, because I wanted to sell it at $10,000. Something's better than nothing. Is what the looks like is for now for Money in the Bank.
Well, you was the one that told me that when it came to Money in the Bank, it wasn't. I wouldn't say it was okay. It's not on that Royal Rumble or WrestleMania caliber. Let's just say that. So it's really not. It's
on the same caliber as TLC. Remember that?
Yes, it sort of is. So
it's big. It's one of the top 5.
I feel like the prices of what they're at are decent, even if they did this for SummerSlam. Because from what I'm hearing, SummerSlam is pretty high. So let's just say that.
You got you got Cardi B there. Of course, it's going to be high. You got to pay her.
Of course. But see, and I was just about to bring up that before we close this out and go to our predictions, is maybe TKO, your money went to all these artists and mainstream stars that you brought on your show. Did you ever think about that? Because I'm pretty sure you did not pay Travis Scott a pretty penny. Sexy Red got some good money.
Months ago, we had Sexy Red come twice.
Thank you. You got all these streamers that got
All them
all
streamers,
these
yup.
million views
And then
and all
and then
this
you have the
stuff,
new
I'm
people
pretty
like
sure
Logan
they did.
Paul.
Logan Paul is not getting no just hair money.
He's
He
getting a
getting
few
some a
million.
pretty penny, and plus his friends are probably getting some money just getting appearance. These
Hmm.
people that's okay, you're showing on camera. Okay, cool. They're just on camera, but if
And
they're in
that's
that ring or getting acted, like a
hmm
Travis Scott, not Travis Scott, but Jason Kelly, brother, he was involved in a match. I'm pretty sure you had these NBA stars
hmm
getting into a, something
and
and trying to build something. I'm
and
pretty
and
sure
and
you
and
paid them
here's
some money
and
because they
here's a
get
good
paid
piece.
millions.
Here's a good piece. Now we know Logan Paul. They're working with him now to be the next big thing. That's why he's with Cena. But when they signed Logan Paul, they gave him all this money because
Yeah.
he came big because he had this big following because of the YouTube and everything. And of course, his brothers with Jake, who's
Yeah, Jake.
boxing, and he fought. Well, no, that was a bad move, but he's Tyson. But anyway, yeah, that man. Anyway, um, but they gambled on it and they paid him all the money because they thought they was going to see that investment because people were going to watch it because Logan Paul came with all this following. And he's gonna sell out tickets, man, because he just got all these just a big following, and it wasn't that. So now all that money that they wasted on him to get him over, and they got no return investment on it yet. Now they can make it because that's what they're working with him with Cena to try to get that investment. But up until this point, they didn't see any return back on that investment by paying all that money because he didn't sell tickets. He didn't bring anything. It gave him a mid card title, and they gave him high profile matches, and he still did not have that return on the investment. So now yes, they are going to go ahead. They're going to try to fix it. They're going to try him with Cena. They're going to have him put him on the way out. Fine. But up until this time period, all the money they gave to him was pretty much trashed. It's gone. It's gone. They paid him. It's gone, and they did not see that money come back around. It's trashed. That is what I'm talking about. When you put all this money into something, and you're hoping that the turn is that you're gonna have more. If you're paying somebody 10 million, I'm not saying Logan Paul's making 10 million, but you're paying somebody 10 million, your hope is for them to make you 10 more million than what you paid. Probably 20 million, maybe a billion. But if you pay somebody $10 million, let's say it was Logan Paul, let's say pay him $5 million, and he's not helping you even reach even $1 million, you just lost $4 million. You're never gonna see money ever again, at least not from him, unless you put the work in, which is what they're doing now, and having that return on that investment. But he's been in the company for 5 years, and they've never seen the return on that investment. And honestly, I'm a bit concerned for Mr. Logan Paul because if he does not come out great from the Cena run, 5 years, I'm pretty sure that contract is about to expire real soon. They might renegotiate it and might not re-sign him because it's funny how it's 5 years. He's been there 5 years, and now they want to put him with Cena because in those 5 years they did not get their return investment. And they're putting him with Cena as a one last opportunity to get the return back on the investment. And if it doesn't work, they're going to renegotiate or they're not going to re-sign. He's at year 5. And I guarantee you, because most deals are between 3 to 5 years, except Russo, we got 2 years. But most deals are between 3 to 5 years. If he's on year 5 now, his contract's coming up. They put him with Cena as a last chance to prove his worth. And if it feels like how R-Truth Cena went through, the rest is gonna be history.
Yeah. Answer the question though, TKO is not best for business because you see what they do to the UFC. Let's just keep it real. We'll
Mm-hmm.
see what's going to go on. I'm not going to lie. If things keep going the way it's going to go, final balls, um, baby, I don't. I can see. I know Fox was interested in buying this company. I know Disney was interested in buying this company. I knew ESPN was interested in buying this company. Um, I would not be
And
shocked if
where
if
we're seeing that now,
A AEW name comes up in
where
this conversation.
we're seeing them put ESPN stuff in there with packing. I mean, with magazine stuff. And that's kind
Exactly.
of weird.
So that could be
But
a great
but
like
I can kind of
tease.
see where you're going because after everything that I just said, another way they can kill the company is that they get rid of all your big stars and they save the money because they fired all the big stars or they said, hey, big stars say, hey, I'm not going, I'm not taking less, I'm gonna take my ball, I'm gonna go home. If they only have mid carders because they want to save money, they will also die because you're never going to have those big ticket sales anymore. You save the money initially, but you're not making any new money because it's all mid card. That's also a problem as well too, TKO. So it's kind of a tricky thing.
I I hate that term when you say in that case when it's something.
But
It,
that's booking
well,
101.
well,
You have your big stars,
yeah, but
you have your
but
main
the
eventers, your co-main eventers, and your mid card and your lower mid card.
yeah
Being mid card doesn't mean that you're mid card level talent. That just means where they're
yeah
placing you on, as far as which you are, as far as their booking wise, creative wise, you're mid
yeah.
card. There's
What I
nothing
was
wrong with
saying
being
was
a mid card person. You can there's
no
still
no no
the cruiser division is actually what built wrestling.
yeah
That's
yeah
what
yeah.
it is.
No, I'm not talking about that. I was talking about the whole take your ball and go home. Because you got to look at it like this. If you're in a situation, you got to put yourself in that person's shoes. You don't know if they was frustrated with booking. There was just, that person who's over the company. Y'all don't see eye to eye at that time. And things maybe went wrong. And now, you know, things cannot be fixed because you feel like, well, this one thing happened. So I feel like when somebody says they take the ball and go home, let's see their story first. And if they just, hey, I left because I
Mm,
left, okay, yes. But if I left because, hey, I felt like I was a caliber of this money and they wasn't paying me, and I felt like they wasn't giving it to me, and
well,
that's why I left. Hey,
but
I won't blame you.
but
Get
here's
your
the thing.
money. I'm with
So
people making that
Marshall
money.
Mites, shouts out to him, CCNDWETHM. He said that they got their return because they had a Prime deal. So yes, they did. They got that Prime deal, but what happened? Prime failed. There was at one point where overseas where Prime was selling for hundreds of dollars. Prime, and then also came out about how it's like bad for you and it has like really bad ingredients. All that stuff came out and just also, it was a fad. Prime now is not worth the stock that it was when they got it. Now Prime is being sold at your local Dollar Tree stores. So it's not the same caliber. And everyone who drinks it now says, "Oh, you drink Prime." Now, originally, yes, Prime was a big thing. Kids were going absolutely bonkers for Prime. People were willing to travel and pay like $500 just for one bottle in the UK. I've heard about that, but not now. That boat has sailed. They know that. That's why Randy Orton took a swig of it and said it was horrible. They know that. So that's another thing. They did not get that return on that investment because you had him for 5 years. He's not selling out tickets, and his product that was high at one time fell very quickly into that 5-year deal. So now they really not seeing that return on that investment anymore. Which again, but at that time, I
But
mean,
yeah,
WWE,
we'll see.
they wouldn't have known.
But I seen this when AEW was at a point where they ain't seen the downtime and look at them now. Maybe
Yep, and TNA did it as well, and they came
yes,
out of it. So
yes. So we'll we'll see. Let's get through these predictions. This will be the last thing we'll do. We'll go over the Money in the Bank card and give our picks. We can give out dark horses pick if you want to, final balls, or you just feel like you want to go with your person. We can. Let's start with the first match. I want to start with the um, Ivory now. Becky Lynch is the IWC. The women's Intercontinental Championship match is Liv Vaquera versus Becky Lynch. And for the Intercontinental Championship women's title, I feel like Becky is going to win this match. We got Evolve next month, so I'm thinking maybe her and Bailey will do a match for Evolve because they are kind of like the vets now. That's where they might do that match. That's when Bailey might come back. I feel like Becky can't got to win this match. What's the reason of doing it twice, especially back to back? I think this is a second match from with her and Vaquera. So we'll see what goes on. But I got Becky Lynch in this money on the bank IC title win. Who do you got, final boss?
I have
Final boss. Are you there?
I have Lyra. I feel like because if Becky wins, and that's pretty much the end of the story. So it depends if they want to move to the new story or not. The story could progress. The story could progress, back to Becky and Bailey. I'm hoping. If not, then, and she's another person I'm also worried about too, is Bailey. But I feel like if they are going to turn the story back into Bailey, then that would be one, good for Bailey, two, good for Becky. It'd be, wait for her to rebuild back old rivalries before if she is going to be on her last run, and also give Becky, give Bailey that screen time that she used to have, back at her peak. But I have a lot of concerns for Bailey as well, as far as her status, that she's not being used, because we haven't heard anything since that initial tease, and they kind of left it. And you know what happens with that tease? How many times have they teased The Rock and nothing happened? How many times have they teased what we thought they teased AJ Lee, and it never happened? So I mean, hey, we thought it was gonna be this whole big thing between
they
and Pat.
They ain't got the money for AJ Lee no more.
Yeah, and what happened and we thought this whole thing between Pat McAfee was going to end to something, and it just was just a one-time thing. So, I mean, I don't know. Hopefully, it's kind of like the whole story that we had with Jay. Because remember, when Jay got pushed, we stopped hearing about that for months, and it came back around.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it's kind of the same thing with Bailey and Becky. But yeah, I'm gonna go for Lyra. So that way they can continue this story, unless they plan the switch. I just don't think that they will at this point, because we haven't seen anything. No response from Bailey.
We only got 4 matches for Money Bank now. I don't know. I don't know if last 4. I thought we had maybe 5, but that 4 number is kind of odd to me. I don't remember Money Bank having 4 matches. Maybe it did. Maybe that's a new thing they're doing. But they only have 4 matches. But I think the next match that we will be having after this will be the women's Money in the Bank briefcase. We got Stephanie Vaquer. We have Alexa Bliss, Roxanne, Naomi, Rhea Ripley, and Jillian. I have, believe it or not, final balls. Man, I hate to say it. I had Naomi for a while, but I got a strange feeling it's going to be Roxanne. It's going to be freaking Roxanne. Y'all have convinced me it could be Roxanne. It might be Roxanne. The way they're pushing Roxanne.
I mean,
they might go with Roxanne.
I'm also going for Roxanne because it will make sense for her story. Because if she loses it, then it's just going to be Liv just, can say, hey, you're not bringing anything to the team, blah, blah, blah. But if she wins that, you'll have her teasing it saying, "Oh, she can cash in for any title. She's going to be the
Mhm.
next biggest women's champion." And if
Hey, you
and
can
if
put in the
Liv
story
wins it back,
that
and if
Liv
Liv
can
wins it back, you're going to have that tease. She can cash in on
yeah.
her in
Yeah,
time.
I was gonna say you could tease where you could Liv be trying to trick her to give her the briefcase, give Liv the briefcase. You can do that too if you wanted to.
Oh well, I don't think they're gonna do that. That's too far fast for them. They ain't thinking that hard of the box. It's the way they're gonna work with creative. They. No, sorry, no, that's wishful thinking. Hopes and dreams.
Hopes and dreams.
Yeah, they ain't doing that. They're not.
Well, I'm not gonna lie. Like I said, my dark horse is still Naomi, but man, I would not be surprised if it be Roxanne. Because you got to think about it. They already said Jillian's going for the United States title. Naomi, she got Jade. Jade is not in this match. You could probably have Jade come out and maybe they fight. And then Naomi goes to the back and then she disappears and never come back out.
Well, the thing is that I feel like with Naomi, even though Naomi will be great, especially if if this truly going to be her last run.
Mm-hmm.
Naomi doesn't need this as part of the story, though. Her, because if she win the briefcase or not, it's still gonna be her doing weird, creepy things with Bianca. Anyways, it's not gonna do anything. Should be doing the same creepy stuff, but with a briefcase. So it doesn't really. She doesn't need it. If she doesn't win it, she'll be doing the same story that she's doing with Bianca, putting the blades and the cake and everything. You don't need a title to go ahead and continue a story like that. Similar to kind of like the story of the bloodline. Like we didn't need a title. We had the Ulafala. We're doing things over there. Same thing with Naomi. She has the whole thing with Bianca. It's more her target for. Well, it is J2 mostly right now. It's Bianca. She doesn't need it. You're just gonna have her coming out with the briefcase looking all creepy, with caution tape all over it, and her just still trolling out the Bianca. That's
a lot of fans have been doing that caution tape with her on it.
You know what? And it would be kind of cool to see that, but at the same time, she doesn't need to have it for the story. I think for Roxanne,
that says a lot for Naomi. She's elevated herself enough to not need a briefcase to give her story. Not even a title. So hey, I mean.
But you know what? A lot of things, we get things, we don't get things. We wanted the pink briefcase, and we got it from Tiffany.
We got it from Tiffany.
Yeah, no, we got it for Tiffany, but we wanted the glow title, and we didn't get that from Naomi.
And I thought we did get the glow title. We didn't get that.
We didn't get that. She had a title.
Sure?
She had a title. Nope, it never had the glow title.
Did she do the SmackDown title with the little neon stuff around it?
No, she had
am I wrong?
Title, but she never got the glow title.
Really? I could have swore she did it with the neon. Maybe I'm tripping. I thought she did that.
That was the little slide and everything.
Yeah. I thought she did that. Well, WWE missed out on that one. I could have swore I thought they did that because that was a money maker. They should have did that one then.
Oh. He said, "Okay." Polaris said it glowed. I don't remember it glowing.
Yeah. Okay, Polaris. I thought, yes.
I don't remember that.
It was a SmackDown. Thank you, Polaris. It was a SmackDown. She used to have the little, she used to have the little stuff around the title. When it get dark, you can see it, and she used to do her little dance.
Hold on, let me
slide down. But when the lights come back on, I thought they did. At first, I was like, man, if they didn't do that, then they tripping.
Really? I remember it glowing though.
Yes, it was glowing. It was matter of fact, when she first started doing the glow, I think gimmick, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh.
That's when they did it. I think it was her first run. It was her first title shot.
Well, I saw her on SmackDown. I remember her.
It was one because she only won the SmackDown title. It was. I don't think it was the first one.
I saw her, but I think
it was either first time she won it or the last time she won it. But I could have swore when she came out, it used to glow. Because I was like, maybe I'm tripping. It was a SmackDown title. Because I was like, oh, man, this is so awesome that they let her do it. Because I think she used to have a little neon stuff around the title.
I don't remember that, though.
Yeah, okay. I thought so, Polaris. Maybe we tripping. Okay. Maybe we imagine things. But I could have sworn that was...
for having that because I did not.
Yeah,
I do not remember
it.
that glowing. Jesus,
Yeah, it was a smack. If it wasn't, I think it was her last title. I think it was the one that she did.
It was a SmackDown title, but I don't remember it glowing.
Yeah, it was a SmackDown title, but I think because she won it twice, so I think it was the last time when she won it. If I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong, but I think it was the last one she had. And then
I'm looking at it now. So I'm looking at back when they had the SmackDown talk.
Mm-hmm.
And it's Daniel Bryan, and then looking at her title glowing.
Yeah, okay. So I think it was her last run then. It was the last run before she went to TNA. So okay, I thought so. It was the last time she had. That
was before TNA. That was long before TNA. Long before TNA.
Yeah. I'm saying when she left.
Shows.
Yeah. I thought so. I was like, man, maybe I'm tripping. Let's go to our next match, which is the men's Money in the Bank briefcase match. We have LA Knight, Penta, Andrade, which I'm very shocked Andrade is in this match. Solo, Seth Rollins, and American Grande. Final boss. I'm not gonna lie. If they give this thing to American Grande, man, I just would like to sit back and see how the IWC is gonna react. My pick is Seth Rollins. I have two sleepers. It could go to Solo because Seth did say something in the interview about Solo. It did come up, and I found that quite interesting. Y'all want to go see? He was on the news. Says he brought up Solo and said Solo can be quite a threat to his getting the briefcase. And I was like, out of all people, Solo. And I was like, that's interesting. But hey, maybe he just said that to say that. Or LA Knight. So I got, if it's not going to go to Seth, which Seth is the favorite. If they're not going to go to Solo, it's going to go to LA Knight. But the only thing about it is, if you put it on LA Knight, what kind of story? He doesn't have a story there. He hasn't been going for that title, hasn't looked for the title or nothing. So I don't see LA Knight winning. I got Seth Rollins as my favorite. I'm going to stick with Seth. I don't see no one else winning. Maybe Solo.
So for me, I don't never thought it's gonna be Solo. It ain't gonna be Solo. I am also surprised by Andrade. I was happy to see Penta in there. He's gonna do really great in this kind of match. I don't think he's gonna win either. Hey, if you would have told me before Monday, I would have said 100% Seth Rollins. They want him to bring the championship, and that's gonna help, really establish his whole thing with the group. But after what happened on Monday with El Grande, I don't know. It could be damn El Grande Americano.
Jesus Christ. Man, they do that, man. Boy, I never seen.
I mean, and it's a way to do that without hurting anybody in there, because it's not going to diminish people like Penta or Seth, because they are. It's a multi-man match. It's a Money to Make match. There's ladder stuff involved. So it's technically not really you losing, whatever. So, it's whatever. So I can see them doing that because of that, because it doesn't take value from the bill from other stars like that. So I don't know.
I don't know, man. If they do that, it's gonna go. The IWC will go freaking crazy. Let's go to the main event for the night. Which will be you said Logan Paul's last chance. He will be teaming up with Unseen number 17, the GOAT. I don't care what no one says.
Greatest of all time.
Yes, John Cena is in my GOAT conversation. Him and Roman Reigns. They will always be my two GOATs. I don't care what no one says.
You better put The Rock in there.
Well, maybe. Maybe for you. Maybe. I don't know. Okay, I might don't like it like that.
Hey. Cena might be the greatest of all time. But hey,
it depends on how I like it now.
But there is a great one. There is a great one.
Oh,
so
Lord,
remember that.
Jesus. I guess I'll put Rock at number 3. He's a good number 3. Yeah, I guess. For you.
Number 3? Not even number 2?
Hey!
Wait, it's number 1?
Well, if I put him at number 2, him and Roman is gonna be tied. So I'll put him and Roman there. They can sit at the table together. You know, hey, they're always teaming. Who wants? I'll let them fight who want to sit at the head of the table. There.
At the head of the table, though.
Oh Lord, no. Roman Reigns sits at the head of the table. The tribal chief one now, not this Roman we got now. That will always be, and we got him versus
like Roman's character, but
Jey Uso and Cody Rhodes. I'm not gonna lie, Final Balls. I have Cody pinning John because Logan will do something, maybe hit him by mistake. You know when he does the punch with his thing, and that's how you get and you'll pin it. Now that's how you get Logan versus John at the next PL League, and later on in the future, that's how we're gonna get back Cody versus Cena. Because whoever wins, if no one on SmackDown for the men's wins the briefcase, that automatically tells me Cody's gonna get back the belt. And I know nobody doesn't want it, but that's telling me that.
Well, they're teasing dissension between Cena
Logan and Logan, yeah.
But I feel like the real story would have been if we had more time, would have been them teaming together, them being great, and then towards the end of Cena's run, you'll have Logan Paul saying he doesn't want to wait anymore, that his time is now. So that would have been what they would do. And because they teased that, because they said that his time, because remember what Logan Paul said in the promo, he said that his time is almost over, things like that, his time is now. So they would have ran that. It would have been a really great story. The problem is, again, the time. Cena really hurt them by not coming those first few weeks and being sporadic. If he would have came every week, we would have had all these great stories, and we're not going to have it now because Cena didn't have the scheduling for it. So, I mean, I think there's a chance he might turn on him as early as tomorrow, just because we can't have that long story because of the time. Cena is caught up in all these short stories now because of the time. So
yeah. I got, like I say, that's who I think. It all depends on who wins the Man Money Bank now. If Solo wins this match, I'm gonna be really interested.
You always have Cena and Logan Paul lose, and Cena is the heel, and he's gonna beat Logan Paul down to a bloody pulp as well. We have that too. He's mad. We have that as well.
But the only thing about that is people hate Logan so much they're gonna be cheering freaking Cena. They'll be cheering Cena. They can't.
It doesn't matter. The whole point is that.
But this Money Bank, looking at the card, I think the most match I'm really interested in is the women's Money Bank to see who's gonna win. Men, I like I say, I already got some strange feelings gonna be Seth. Now, if it's Solo and they go the way I just said,
El Grande Americano.
If they go
El
that way,
Grande Americano is gonna be your next big superstar now. I mean, I'm sorry that Chad Gable, couldn't have the that he needed, but hey, he might also be on that release list with Otis maybe in the future. I don't know. But we do have a star that has came out named El Grande Americano, and he's going to be. I don't know why you're laughing, but he's going to be the next big thing. I think he's going to do well, with the merger with AAA, and it's always good to see new talent come. I mean. The fact that they hire so many new talent, and now Grande was one of those new talent. This is them at least trying to bring up new guys. So
I guess. I mean, we'll have to see how this is going to go.
Are you saying that
I'm hoping that
and
Money in the Bank, because I think the next. They break. Yes,
are you saying that?
I mean, come on.
No, it's not. It's not the same.
They're the same thing.
It's like when Elias had his brother. That was not Elias.
Lord! So y'all gonna drive us crazy like KO. So that's what this is. I feel like I think the next pay-per-view after this is I think Night of Champions.
I don't
Because
know.
next month we don't have a we have a PLE, but it's for the ladies. But I think after this we have
Yeah, it's
Night of
called
Champions.
Evolution.
You can set up Logan and John Cena for Night of Champions. I think they're gonna run back to Cena and
Well,
Cody
no,
thing
I
at
feel like now the
SummerSlam.
champions is probably gonna. I would like to see Jay versus John, champion versus champion.
They stopped doing that a long time ago, Final Boss.
Oh God! And this is
And
what
you
the
know
company going
what? But you
down.
know what? If they did, okay, let's say if they did that match, who would you have? Who would you have win? Who needs to win more?
Well, I would have it not be clean, have interference in there.
So okay, you still got John winning in
Yeah, but
interference.
it'll be interference in there. But have it
Well,
be somebody
if they did that match
you can have
because
Logan Paul
John,
help or something.
you know what I would do if they did that match. I'm not gonna lie to you, Final Boss. I'll put Jay over again. You know why? Because Jay pushed him out
Or again, it could be interference.
for
Rumble,
and he
Logan
beat him
Paul
at that
trying
Night
to
of
help
Champions.
Cena, and he messes up. And
Jay's the new guy.
It could be that too. Oh, I hear you, Princess. I hear you shaking.
Oh Lord.
She said, I gotta shake it off, like Taylor Swift.
But no, if they did that match, but you gotta think about it. You can Zelina Vega versus you gotta think about it. Zelina Vega versus whoever's gonna be the IC champion at that time. I don't know who you can't put nobody against Liv Morgan now because they're the only tag team champions. You'll have Io versus Tiffany, which I feel like it'll be okay.
Knowing them, they might put the damn mid card titles for the women mixed with the tag team. They just have more fight.
Oh Lord, I do miss that type of.
Well, you know what? They probably won't put them on there. They probably just have the females do it. Just the regular women's champions do it. They probably just want to do the tag team.
Well, that'll be cool if they just did like every title.
They have two lady
that'd
titles.
be cool.
So
but the only thing about it is we'll get New Day versus Street Profits because they're now the tag team champions at the time. That's the only thing about it. I feel like if you wanted to do that match, Jay needs to win more than Cena because Jay's gonna be there much longer than Cena. Cena can't beat Jay because he's a new face. He's a new baby face. He's getting one of the biggest pop. His pop is bigger than Cody's. So I mean, why not have him win over Day? Now if they did Jillian versus who's the United States Zelina. Well no, you have Jillian versus Becky will be crazy. That will be crazy. But see, all you have is Becky taking on the rookies, which she loves putting over. So I would have Jillian win that match if you did her against Becky, because that's who I think will win the IC Women's Championship. Then you'll have Jacob versus Dominic. Oh my God, Dominic's gonna die. Y'all trying to kill Dominic Mysterio.
Speaking of die, my laptop about to die too. So.
Yeah, I'm about to let y'all go because I know y'all got places to be and things to do. It's 6 o'clock. Time for Greg Street to rock. But
I'm actually gonna go. Well, it's too late for me to go to the pool, by the way. So thank you for that. So I'm actually just gonna go get food, and then that's it. So.
Oh, what we eating? What's on the menu today?
Maybe a sandwich. Maybe Chinese food.
Oh, sub sandwich like usual. Oh Lord Jesus Christ! This is what you get when you got Italian women on your team, people. Anyway.
Remember. I was just gonna be like Rock, but they denied him. But I'm gonna be like Cena, the unseen 17. I am the unseen Bling. I did retire with DWE championships. So just remember that.
Hey, you never know. Sometimes championships come back. You never know in the near future. Hey, we might bring it up here and talk it up. You never know. No, we got a lot of great things for you guys. Thank you guys for letting us hit 1.5K last month. This month we hope we get to 2.5K with y'all help. Thanks to 217 people coming in. Even though I was late. Yes, I was late. I'm very
217, the unseen.
217 unseen. Final Boss, you got any shouts out before I close it out?
No, but remember, this month is going to be very busy for us. Remember, we're going to be with Sports for You later on in the month. I believe it's the 19th. So make sure you join us for that. Make sure you join us again on the 29th as we will be doing some stuff with Culture Class Network, part of CCN. So we'll be doing some really personal topics on the 29th of this month. As of right now, because that's going to be in the future. As far as for today, remember that Townhouse Media and Humble Roses, part of CCN, they are going to be doing a live blog for Money in the Bank and Worlds Collide. So make sure you check that out. They're going to be having a lot of fun over there. Thanks so much for them to stopping by, including myself, Marks as well.
Yeah, and shouts out to everyone. Good luck to Dallas and his
also, I do want to get some more shouts out. So thank you so much for Polaris, you know him off X. Thank you so much to Greg, who is part of our video production team for DWE. Of course, the author, Lena Dow, Nessa, who's was part of the Humble Roses podcast, Mike's from Marks and Mike's, part of CCN, John from Sports for You and Wrestling for You is part of CCN under the Townhouse Media.
CJ stopped by too.
Yep, and also the EVP CJ, who was on the main event team. So shouts out to them as well. But if you have any shouts out, if you have any closing statements, now is your time to go ahead because your time is now.
No, go ahead and follow me on X, Miami the Great 654. Final Boss Lady on her X page, which will be Final Boss Lady. DWD. Hey, look, you got so many now. Look, you got so many. Leave me alone. Like
AJ Francis once questioned, how many pages do y'all have?
Yes,
the answer to that is like 4.
No, it's no CFO DWE babies with a Z. And follow me on Instagram, the official Miami the Great, if you want to follow me over there. Please subscribe to our page. Please tell friends, subscribe to us. We cannot build this alone. Please get us up to 1. We need 1 video to get up to 100 views. We have not hit 100 views on our live video yet, but we have done great on our shorts. Shouts out to everyone who's been comments that showed up in our shorts, like Greg, Lena, other people who have showed up in our shorts, have been getting 200 views, 300 views on our shorts. So y'all really love the shorts. We're going to have many shorts coming out more lately because y'all love the shorts. I guess y'all don't want to sit through this whole 3 hours of me and Final Boss Lady breaking it down.
Break it down, and we also fight on the show as well. So if y'all missed that, you might want to go back about 2 hours.
Of course, I always gotta fight with you because you got that Italian in you, so I gotta set you straight. You might be the final boss, but I'm always the tribal wolf, the tribal of the tribe. So, but with that being said, man, like I say, many thanks to everyone. 220 people. Thanks. We could not do this without you guys. We'll see you guys next week for the fallout of Money in the Bank. I'm pretty sure, hopefully, we'll have a lot to talk about. If we do it at the Raw, hell, we'll see what's going to happen on Raw. I'm hoping for some great stuff to happen before we go back live again, so we'll have some more stuff and information for y'all. Thank you guys for coming by. We'll see you guys next week. Thank you, Final Boss Lady, for joining me, and thank you for your time. I'll let you guys join Dallas as he's doing his battle right now. So you guys go over there. I have some more work to do, so I will be doing the same thing you're doing, going to go get me some food because I stopped to do this live for you. You're welcome.
For me, or for the people? For the people.
For you. I don't forget these people. I don't like these people. Who are these people?
Wait, we forgot. Very important. Very important. Very important. This is very important. So make sure y'all listen.
Okay.
Those who are on X, we are having our monthly watch party on X for Money in the Bank tomorrow. So
yes, I forgot.
Sure that you come. Now, shouts out to the 30 people who have said they will come. I'm counting on you to come, but we need 30 more of you guys on top of the 30 that we can come. So If you are on X, join us for
Follow
our
that.
watch party. That is going to be the one time a month that you can be talking with us, along as
Chilling.
respectful, live,
Yes.
as we watch and react to PLEs. This month, of course, is going to be Money in the Bank. Remember, this is a 1 month thing. So if we don't see us next month, well, we'll see you next time around. So make sure you follow our X. So make sure Miami give them our X accounts for DWE so they can go ahead and join us
That will
tomorrow.
be that will be the island of DWE is spelled just the way I said it. Island of DWE is real easy. Once you put it in, it'll pop up. You will see our logo that says DWE is in red, white, and blue. If you want to join our group page, you can just
Hey, wait a minute. It's
DM me.
not red, white, and blue because it's Pride Month. It's actually rainbow color.
Well, that's our chat color
Oh,
pri- profile.
well,
The,
hell.
the,
Is 4th of July already?
no,
We
no,
in
I just
June.
picked, it was just the color I picked. It
Oh,
was just a
oh,
random
oh,
color.
oh,
It
oh, that, oh,
changes
that
every
because we
month.
got the, red bland and blue
Yeah, yeah,
bland,
yeah,
like
yeah. I just chose
SmackDown and Raw. So I guess
a
that makes
random
sense.
color. It's just random.
Oh, thank you.
But other than that, I hope we have some great things coming. Like I say, I know we have most people always come all the time. Hopefully, we can get some free merch to some people. I'm thinking about making some
Free,
talk it up. Yeah, free. Because we
free.
have some great. We
So
have viewers that
TKO is
always
showing you getting
come.
our stuff for free.
Well, look, we a $20 shirt will not be nothing to give some of our
Hey,
viewers that
that's not
got
what.
us up to
Hey,
one
TKO be like,
point
hell
one
no.
point five k. Well, TKO is they are a big company. We're just starting. We appreciate our listeners, our people who always comment, like you said, Lena, Greg, Polaris. They always come. You never know where that's going to get you. Like I say, in time, you can win a free shirt, a free WE shirt, a free DWE shirt, a free Talk It Up shirt, or blame it on Miami, or a baby with a diamond on there. That will be set, maybe signature by Final Boss Lady. I would love a shirt like that. Why not? Have a little signature of Final Boss Lady. What you think about that, Final Boss? Yes? No?
Well,
Maybe
my
so?
signature is horrible, so I'm not sure if you want
Oh,
that.
well, who cares?
You
Most
may,
people are. Mine is too.
mm,
Who cares? People are just gonna buy it just to buy it.
yeah, I'm gonna
Let's
just,
take it.
you know me. I'll slap a sticker on there, like a diamond, like some sparkles
Well,
sticker.
yeah, but
Like that.
before we leave out, just always remember, guys, that no matter what happens in your past, it doesn't define your future. You always grow. Um, Never forget to forgive someone, because you never know when it's the last day you will see them. You may not get to say, you're sorry, or you love them or whatever. So just with that being said, just know that we love y'all. Take care of yourself. It's mental health, men's mental health month.
Mm.
So men, please keep your mental health in check. Make sure you reach out to someone and tell someone that you know what you're going through. Other than that, I guess I lost Fun Boss Lady because she was like, I'm out. So with that being said, we'll catch you guys later. Are you back? You don't like that? What's wrong with that?
I am
Tell
bad.
me.
I was giving you your spotlight.
Oh Lord, no. You know what? This is what happens when you work with Final Boss Lady. But anyway, we'll catch you guys next week. Peace out. Thank you, Final Boss Lady, the magnificent Final Boss Lady, our first lady of DWE, our queen of DWE, and also Miami, the king, the tribal wolf. Catch you guys next.